Tradoon. Tradoon. present to you the top 10 weirdest looking dinosaurs. I want to state the obvious and tell you that I'm going to be butchering the names of these dinosaurs. In at number 8, we have the Tradoon.
In 1856, the fossilized teeth of a small dinosaur were discovered in Montana. The species was aptly named Troodon, which means wounding teeth.
Tradoon.
When evolution passed out the stealth gene, Troodons lucked out.
Tradoon.
This drawer contains almost all of the North American identified specimens of Troodon.
Troodon was every inch the predator, with razor-sharp serrated teeth and large, hook-like claws. Troodon probably fed on our ancestors, the early mammals. Troodon may have posed a greater threat to mammals than any other predator on Earth. Troodon was suddenly cut down in its prime.
Tradoon.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Paleontologizing. It is wonderful to see all of you here today, on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. At least that's where it is, where I am right now. Let me adjust my camera here, it's a little off kilter. There we go. Let's see about maybe improving that by getting a different lens. Require that adapter that goes all Treco sometimes. Anyway. Welcome. It's a beautiful, rainy, windy afternoon here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Whether you're watching live right now, from a different time zone, or maybe you're watching the VOD later, or maybe you're even watching this on YouTube, welcome to Paleontologizing. Especially if you're here for the first time, an extra special welcome to you. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist. You probably know already that a paleontologist is a scientist who studies fossils. I work on dinosaur fossils in particular, as you can probably guess. Looking at my office here. As a dinosaur paleontologist, I dig up dinosaurs across the American West for various museums. I study dinosaurs. I publish on them in the scientific literature. Actually, just working on a new abstract today. Got to get that submitted by Friday for a conference this summer. Been working hard on that. But it's been good. Still have some more work to do, though. Cutting it close. But, yeah. Anyway. I'm so glad you're here. Let me know if you've got any questions about dinosaurs in particular, because that's my particular research wheelhouse. Or if you've got questions about the history of life on Earth in general, about evolution, or extinction, or adaptation, whatever, you know? I'm your guy. Don't be shy with those questions. Today we're going to be talking about a new publication that just came out, I think it just came out today, about Ornithiscian dinosaurs, the so-called bird-hipped dinosaurs, which confusingly enough are not the ones that birds evolved from. We'll talk about why. But we'll be talking about the evolution of beaks and jaws in these dinosaurs and how it kind of chronicles their transition from ancestral carnivory, eating meat, and their ancestors to eating plants later on. All the Ornithiscian dinosaurs are either omnivorous or herbivorous. as far as we can tell. And we'll be talking about that. Should be pretty cool. We'll also do some other fossil news as it comes up. Allie J, thank you for that that bird paper. It's the first I've heard of it. We'll talk about that as well. And we'll probably do some dinosaur deep dives also. We might even start off with those. But anyway, let me scroll up to the top of chat, and we'll do some greetings. We'll say hello to everybody. Layer T, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. Good to see you, Layer T. Glad you could join us. You were here before we even started. Like a full 20 minutes early or something. Bet Medler, what's shaking with you? It's good to see you. I hope all is well. Arle, Tradoon to you too, Arle. I hope your day has gone well thus far. It's good to see you. Gertis Pucka says, hello, my dear paleontologizers. And hello to you, Gertis Pucka. Good to have you here. Scient Streams, how are you, my friend Balint? I hope all is well with you. Hope you and Lita are doing great. And, yeah, I know I ask this all too often, but how close are you to partner right now, Balint? Oh, I want to hear about it. How close are you to being able to reapply? Matt Pie, how are you doing? Great to see you, Matt Pie. Howdy, howdy. Sea Frog, hello to you. Welcome, Sea Frog. I feel like I've not seen you in a while, maybe. I feel like it's been a while since that name graced my chat. Good to see you here, Sea Frog. And Gertis Pucka, I'm glad you're here live. Yeah, nicely done. What time zone are you in, if you don't mind my asking? Whereabouts are you, Gertis Pucka? I would guess Germany, given your name, but I could definitely be wrong about that. An office snow day today. You got snow inside the office, Bet Medler? I hope we're able to clear it out soon, or maybe I'm not. Hope you're still getting paid, Bet Medler. It's good to see you. And Allie J, wonderful to see you, as it always is. How you doing, Allie J? You make me smile. It's good to see you, Allie J. Not the Brain says hello, and hello to you too, Not the Brain. Welcome back. Lenina, good afternoon to you also, Lenina. And thank you again for your extraordinarily generous contribution there yesterday. My goodness, did that make my heart happy. Where was that? I think it was in here. There we go. Our certificate of adoption for one Varanus komodoensis, Komodo dragon, at the Fort Worth Zoo. That is pretty extraordinary, Lenina, and I appreciate that more than you know. Thank you, thank you. Very thoughtful, Lenina, and this is something that I believe in, so this makes me really, really happy. Yeah. Yeah, who else we got? Birds are dead on. Howdy, howdy, birds. Great to see you. As we all know, birds are dinosaurs. We'll also be discussing that today. But birds are not bird-hipped dinosaurs. Despite birds having bird hips and being dinosaurs, they are not bird-hipped dinosaurs. We'll talk about why in a little bit, but, yeah. Stay tuned for that. Oscar Juniors. Tradoon to you too. How are you doing, Oscar Juniors? And Jody Fish. Did I say hello to you yet, Jody Fish? I found an Edmontonia skull in the Dinosaur Fossil Hunter game. Very cool. Good find. That's one of the best pieces you can find, you know? Shoot. One of my crews dug up a Nodosaur skull in the Judith River Formation a number of years ago. It's going to be a new species once it gets published. Maybe it'll get published this year. One can hope. That'll be one of 2023's brand new dinosaur species. Very excited about that. Aditya Yaukar, how are you doing, Aditya? Great to have you back. Thank you for joining us. Kodali 2010. I'd say what's shaken, but those Scient Streams emotes are shaking back and forth. How are you doing, Kodali? Welcome, welcome. And a hearty howdy to you, Blue Front. How are you doing? Great to see you, Blue, and thank you, Blue, also for contributing to the Komodo dragon adoption there. I know you and Lenina, this was a team effort, was it not? So thank you, Blue Front. Appreciate you. Thank you for all of your stalwart support over the past years. Appreciate you. And Benatrice says, hey, how are you doing, Benatrice? Welcome, welcome back to Paleontologizing. And, Let's see. And, oh, that's interesting, Benatrice. Humankind Odyssey game. Ooh, that sounds interesting. Huh. That's a neat idea. I mean, yeah, that's a cool idea for a game. Evolution game from early hominids to Homo ergaster. Very, very neat. Yeah, that's awesome. And Laertes is doing good. Hopefully rain today. I'm not good at summer. Oh, is it summer where you are, Laerte? Okay. Well, I'm hoping it does rain for you, if that makes it easier on you. Yeah. And you tend to watch the VOD, Seafrog, so you're not usually here live? Well, welcome to the live experience. Feel free to ask some questions if you got them. You can always ask questions during the VOD, too, but the likelihood of me hearing them or reading them is very, very slim. So I'm glad you're here live. And again, hello to anybody watching this in the future. Watching a VOD or watching VODs that are posted to YouTube. Hello, hello. And feel free to catch me live. Weekdays around 1 or 2 p.m. California time. Usually it was 2 p.m. on the dot, but thus far in 2023, all the streams have been early. We might stick to this. I think I like this new schedule. But we'll see. We'll see if I can sustain it. Panthapire, how are you doing with those bird emotes there? As we all know, birds are dinosaurs. So that's pretty appropriate there, Panthapire. Great to see you. And Keep Coding Steph, how are you doing? Keep Coding Steph, do I spy a wrench badge next to your name? Are you Twitch staff? Keep Coding Steph? Very, very cool. Well, welcome. Welcome to Paleontologizing. It's great to have you here. Let me know if you got any questions, okay? Yeah, holy moly. I was also going to ask if you happen to know Ios, who also happens to be a Twitch staff member. She's a member of my stream team, and I actually found out about Twitch from her in the first place. I'd never really heard of this platform before I met her in 2020. And I said, holy cow, I wonder if there's anybody doing science on Twitch. I tried doing science outreach on YouTube before, and it never really went anywhere. That whole platform is oversaturated, and discovery is not very good on YouTube. There's a lot of problems with that. Twitch, though, is an altogether different animal. This platform's been very, very good to me. So thank you, Keep Coding Steph, for your work here on Twitch, for helping maintain such a wonderful platform for science outreach. I actually do this full-time now. This is my full-time job, if you can believe it. So thank you for helping create such a wonderful venue for science outreach, and such a lovely place for a community like this to develop. Appreciate all your hard work. Twitch is a wonderful place. So yeah, who else have we got here in chat? Invisible Dimensions, hello, hello. How are you doing? Vampire, Happy New Year to you too, Vampire. Is this your first Paleontologizing stream of 2023, Vampire? Welcome back. And Majot50, how are you doing? Good to see you. Yeah, Buffalo Safari says hello, previous Danny. No, this is present day Danny, Buffalo Safari. You know, I'm live right now. You know, I could prove it to you by, I don't know, reacting to chat in real time. I'm not gonna give you a finger wrapped in today's newspaper or anything. I'd like to keep all my fingers, thank you very much. Yeah. And cool, Benatrice, that sounds neat. Might have to check that game out. I don't really do too many video games, to be honest. But, yeah. And you are watching from the future from Australia, Cliff Alistair McLean, which, yeah, in terms of time zones, that's definitely the future. You're right. I hope the future is a bright place thus far. Quack84, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome, Quack. Great to see ya. Dr. Javasaurus. And yes, Twitch has that live interaction. Indeed, Dr. Javasaurus. And other platforms are starting to try and eat Twitch's lunch there. You know, YouTube has got like a live streaming thing too, but I would not be shocked if it goes the way of Microsoft's Mixer. Because the thing is, if anybody... I once tuned into a YouTube live stream, just once. And the number of spam bots and trolls and just rude comments was really, really disconcerting. Twitch is a million times better in terms of community. And community is what Twitch is all about, so... Yeah. Can't say I do know your friend. I work on the video distribution side. Oh, very cool. Keep coding stuff. Very nice. It's a great company to work for, and I love seeing all the communities on Twitch. Pretty awesome, isn't it? Yeah. Ios, who actually streams here on Twitch. Twitch.tv/IIOS. Can we get a shout out for Ios real quick? She is on the monetization team? The subs team? Yeah. Thank you for the shout out there, Lenina. Appreciate it. Yeah. And Frank Big Time says, I think YouTube is trying to take more of TikTok's market. No, they're trying to do both, Frank Big Time. They're trying to do both. Yeah. There's also the YouTube Shorts, which are kind of insufferable if you watch YouTube on your desktop, like I do. I don't like using the YouTube app on my phone. There's too many ads. It's lousy. But yeah. We also have the best mods around. We do have some pretty top-tier mods, Dr. Javasaurus. The Lenina certainly included within that roster. Thank you, Lenina. And we got Golganek here, too. How are you doing, Golganek? Welcome, welcome. Great to see you, Golganek. I hope you're having a good day so far. As I was saying, we're going to be covering some fossil news today. Going to be talking about this new Ornithiscian jaw paper, which is going to be cool. We'll also do some dinosaur deep dives. So let's actually see who's here right now. Let's pull up our dinosaur deep dive list. And maybe that's how we'll start off the stream. We're trying to parse this down all the way down to 0. Who is here? Layer T, I think, is here right now. And as is Dr. Javasaurus. What? Excuse me. Why don't we do Stegouros for Dr. Javasaurus, and then we'll do E-Chi for Layer T. How does that sound? Yeah. And, I don't know that one, Dr. Javasaurus. What is that? Dr. Javasaurus has just redeemed another dinosaur deep dive. So we're going to add that to the list. Filling it up for next time? All right. Stenau... And let me italicize this. It's a proper genus name. It's got to be italicized. Stenalorhynchus. I'm not familiar with this animal. I wonder if that's a modern bird, because it's new to me. And that is for Dr. Javasaurus. Excellent. Yeah. Nice. And hey, Harbinger of History. Welcome to Paleontologizing. How are you doing? It's good to have you here. Let me know if you've got any questions about prehistory. Long past prehistory. You know, 66+ million years ago. And, oh, it's a rhynchosaur. That would make a lot of sense, Dr. Javasaurus. Okay. Yeah. And Birds Are Dead On. Which dinosaur deep dive was that? Birds Are Dead On. Which one was that? I forget. Yeah. Another thing, before I forget, take a look at what's on the 3D printer at the moment. And the camera's frozen. Give me a second here. It keeps doing this, and I'm not quite sure why. It's never done this before. But there we go. Yeah. Let's configure that video. Let's turn our brightness up a bit. There we are. Continuing to print more of this. And it just froze again. Continuing to print more of this baby Triceratops skeleton. There we go. Let's try that. And I wonder if there's a setting here in OBS that I can use in order to... buffering... Oh! I think that did it. If we use hardware encoding, it might keep it from freezing like that. We'll see. But yeah, printing a full-size baby Triceratops skeleton. It's gonna look like this when it's done. Very excited about that. It's gonna go right up here on top of my bookcase. Right up here with the Ceratosaurus skull is. Different horned dinosaur. Ceratosaurus. His name means horned lizard. We'll move the lungfish too. And our baby Triceratops will go right up there next to our baby Tyrannosaurus. Also life-size, 3D printed. It's gonna be very cool. I'm very excited about that. And yeah, holy cow. So right now, the elements that are printing are both scapulae, the shoulder blades right there, and the toes, and the clavicles in there too. It's interesting, they gave it fused clavicles. The artist who put this together gave it fused clavicles, like a furcula, like a wishbone. And as far as I know, ceratopsians didn't actually have that. So that's interesting. I wonder how the artist would justify that. I could also be wrong, and maybe that's just one of those elements that we've never found in ceratopsians, but they probably do have. I don't know, I guess the way to check that would be to look at, like, Protoceratops from Mongolia, which often tends to be very well preserved. Some Protoceratops skeletons are, like, almost 100% intact. Like, every last little bone is there. So as long as you excavate it carefully enough, you can find all of it, you know? Which is really cool. And a full adult sauropod orchid twilight? Not in my apartment. It would not fit. Unless I had a little sauropod, like, Magyarosaurus or something like that, you know? Because there were dwarf sauropods, too. But I don't have one of those. Anyway. And... oh. It's acting up again. Let's see... device settings, advanced... light boost... That's strange. Give me just a second here. So it just keeps giving us trouble. There we go. Anyway, it should be done before too long. Maybe about 40 minutes or so. And then we'll, print something else. So, yeah. And, anyway, yeah. And Golganek, oh, thank you. You help with that vibe, you know? Golganek, you are certainly a contributor there. Thanks for helping make this community what it is, Golganek. Yeah. And Dr. Javasaurus, everything's on device default. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the issue is. Could just be that the camera's finally dying. That camera is gotta be... probably about 14 or 15 years old at this point. Which is, impressive. That it's still chugging along after 14 or 15 years, you know? Oh, actually, I don't know if it's... 2009 or thereabouts? Yeah. Anyway. Venerable old camera. Real workhorse. Yeah. And keep cutting steps as do you print 3D scans of fossils you dig up? Or do you design 3D models yourself? Both and neither. For this particular one, this Triceratops, this is actually put together by an artist. Justin Van Luc is his name. He's from Belgium, if I remember correctly. And, but these are actually based on real fossils. We don't have a complete skeleton from a baby Triceratops. Not yet. But we do have a few really important pieces, namely the skull. So this skull is based on a specimen from UCMP, the University of California Museum of Paleontology. There we go. Here it is on display. And there's another one right there. That's the same, the same animal. These are the parts we actually have from it, represented here. Represented there in the parts that are shaded, not the parts that are black. Black pieces are the missing pieces. But I actually generated my very own model of this a couple of years ago by photogrammetrizing the one that's on display here in front of the library at UC Berkeley. There we go, like this. By photogrammetrizing it, taking a whole bunch of different photos from different angles, I was able to generate a 3D model and then modify it for 3D printing, slice it, and print it on the printer. So there's that. And then I find this artist has put together, using a similar method, has put together a whole skeleton. He had to sculpt a lot of the missing bones and stuff like that, but this is pretty extraordinary, very, very authentic. And he actually did this in coordination with a museum in Canada, the Royal Saskatchewan Museum in Canada. Yeah. And this same artist has also done the baby T-Rex, which you see behind me here. And that specimen is actually based in part on a specimen I helped excavate for Museum of the Rockies in Bozeman, Montana, back in 2013 and 2014. We were digging up pieces of that specimen. The nickname is Chomper Rex, the world's smallest and youngest T-Rex. And, yeah, anyway, very proud of that. So I actually emailed the artist a while ago when I was purchasing the files for it. And, I actually said, hey, you've done such a magnificent job with this. It's so cool. I helped dig up that specimen. I said, would you mind sending me the files and I'll obviously pay you for them. But rather than buying it through the platform, I'll just buy it direct from you so they don't take a cut, you just get all the money. And he's like, yeah, sure. And, yeah. Anyway, that was pretty cool. He does some incredible work, and I think he might even mention that on the site here. There we go. There's the creator right here. And let's find his juvenile Tyrannosaurus. There we go. Yeah, life-size baby T-Rex skeleton. Yeah, there you go. I love that he modified the listing after I contacted him. That's pretty great. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. An Ashk volume drop. That may have been because I was further away from the microphone. Maybe. Yeah. And, anyway, Scout says, that's cool, thanks. Yeah. But yeah. Winds are picking up there and lights are starting to flicker. Uh-oh, XF Kirsten. Well, I hope you're up in Seattle, so you're also getting the same atmospheric river that we are going to endure here in the San Francisco Bay Area in just a little bit. It's already starting to come down outside. The rain is definitely picking up. But yeah, take a look at that. The rapidly strengthening bomb cyclone out over the Pacific. There's the coast of California. Here is where I am right here. All this cloud cover is going to be dumping a lot of rain. This is a rapidly growing system. And, yeah. So, yeah. Hopefully we don't lose power during the stream. That would be interesting. But yeah. Anyway. Come on, camera. Let's see. Give me a second here. There we go. Anyway, yeah, excited about this print. I only have a few pieces left. I think after this, it's just... It might be the fibulae and then the ribs, and it's freezing again. Even after I set everything to default. But yeah. Yeah. Anyway. And you're in Mexico right now. Very nice, Dr. T. I hope you're having a safe and fun time there. But yeah. Yeah. Anyway, let's do some dinosaur deep dives here. And, let me find our opener for that. Which has gotten very good at hiding from me. There we go. It's time for some dinosaur... So yeah, welcome to Dinosaur Deep Dive. If you're new to this and you haven't gathered so far, this is the part of the broadcast in which I go over some dinosaurs in depth that viewers have requested. Here's our spreadsheet here. I've been trying to get this down to 0 so that we can do dinosaurs as soon as they're suggested. First, we're gonna do Stegouros for Dr. Javasaurus there, because it's first on our list out of the people who are here. So, Dr. Javasaurus, let's talk about this remarkable ankylosaur. Stegouros was just named last year, if I remember correctly. Stegouros is one of the few dinosaurs that we have named from the nation of Chile in South America. And it is a pretty remarkable critter, Stegouros. Very bizarre for an ankylosaur. There's one of my favorite illustrations of this animal. It's a lot like its larger cousin Ankylosaurus, at least in the sense that it's got the same kind of general overall body plan. 4 legs, beak on its snout. It's got a formidable tail, but though instead of a club, its tail instead resembles... It's like one of those, Aztec weapons. I forget what it's called. Really, really interesting stuff. So we're gonna take a look. Let me see if there's a YouTube video of this animal first. Kind of introduce it to us. Then we're gonna be looking at some of the original literature on it too. Stegouros. Here we go. Yeah. Excellent stuff.
Covered in armor and has a strange, deadly tail. Introducing Stegouros elingasin, a new species of dinosaur belonging to the Ankylosaur family.
Ankylosaur.
Initially, Chilean scientists thought they had found a Stegosaurus, but then they saw the tail. 7 pairs of bony blades laid out sideways like a slicing weapon used by ancient Aztec warriors.
Very cool.
This is a completely new weapon, never before seen in dinosaurs that have been discovered so far. It will be a complete boom for Chile and the world of paleontology.
It took the team in Chile nearly 4 years to determine the bones were in fact a unique discovery. The plant-eating creature lived on the southernmost tip of South America over 70 million years ago.
Decent
and it could
skeleton
represent
too.
A new family of armored dinosaurs.
It's the most complete species found in South America and allows us to connect it with other...
Look at his mask right there. We've got a Tyrannosaurus skull. I'm not sure who that is right there, but I see a prominent rib cage. And that might be a seam kind of cutting it off right there. But that looks like the limbs of a stegosaur right there and the tail of a stegosaur. Oh, I love that mask. Anyway, let's listen to what he's actually saying.
The creature lived on the southernmost tip of South America over 70 million years ago, and it could represent a new family of armored dinosaurs.
It's the most complete species found in South America and allows us to connect it with other armored dinosaur species found on other continents. This reveals the existence of a new lineage of Ankylosaur.
Scientists say the tank-like animal would have used its tail to ward off large predators. In spite of its small stature, its tail allowed it to survive in the perilous world it inhabited.
A lovely little video there. Oh, I like that. And I think, there we go.
Un equipo de investigadores de la Universidad de Chile dio con una nueva especie de dinosaurio acorazado tras hallar.
Let me see if I can put some English language subtitles over this. Subtítulos, auto-translate a inglés. ¿Dónde está? Sí. Claro que sí.
Un equipo de investigadores de la Universidad de Chile
researchers from the University of Chile have found a new species of armored dinosaur after finding a complete 74 million-year-old fossil in the southern region of Magallanes, the most important discovery in Chilean paleontology, arguably, along with the very cool. Beautiful shots of the actual fossils there.
Un grupo de paleontólogos extrajo con gran dificultad
un grupo de paleontólogos, a group of paleontologists.
En el empinado cerro del Valle del Río de las Chinas. La identificación
very cool.
Liderada por los científicos Sergio.
So you can see there's a decent amount of this animal that we actually have, and this is still pretty new. I mean, this animal was only announced last year. We'll figure out when it was actually dug up and when it was actually discovered. It was probably a few years before that. Because these things take time, you know? Let's take a look at that. Very, very cool.
A medida que los equipos de trabajo removieron la roca, se encontraron con un esqueleto prácticamente completo y con su zona posterior articulada, cuya mitad poseía 7 pares de huesos dérmicos proyectados lateralmente.
So you can tell this is a recent discovery. Everybody's wearing a mask in the picture. In the frame. Yeah, and the scale models are really nice, Dr. Devasaurus. I really like that.
Denominación que, según explicaron los investigadores chilenos, se traduce como cola techada.
That's something that I've been seeing more and more, especially with new South American dinosaurs, is that often the team will actually commission an artist to create a scale model like that for all of the press stuff. It's really neat. We saw the same thing with Jacapil, which was this past year, 2022. Yeah. There it is right there. Yeah. Very cool. I like this new trend. There's that, and also, like we saw with Jacapil, there's been a new trend with Jacapil and Patagopelta, another South American dinosaur. Doing like 3D renderings, animations of what the animal might have looked like when it was alive. This is a lovely little thing that you can, you know, in the multimedia age nowadays, when all of these different news agencies, news websites, they want video, providing them with that is, that's a smart move. Your find is likely to get more press, more people will find out about it. The whole reason that we dig these animals up in the first place and we study them, you know, it's not just because we're curious and passionate about this, but also because we want to educate the public. We want to get the word out. These are the creatures that once inhabited our own Earth, tens of millions of years ago. And if you can get more eyeballs on this by, say, commissioning an animation like this, why not do it, you know? And it seems like South American paleontologists who study dinosaurs, they're kind of at the forefront of that. They're doing a wonderful job of this, and kudos to them for being on the cutting edge there. Yeah. So anyway, this is Jacapil. The dinosaur that we're talking about right now, that we're diving deep on, is called Stegouros. Or Stegouros. You know, tomato, potato. This is what we call an ankylosaur. So this is a member of the armored dinosaur group, what we call Thyreophoran dinosaurs. And take a look at that tail. Oh, I love this illustration here. It's a little cartoony, but I love the bright coloration. And those black and white stripes you see running across the tail there would actually make a lot of sense. This animal, you know, despite having a big, formidable tail, which could be used as a weapon, if it can get away without actually fighting, I'm sure it would much rather do that. So having bright warning colors on its body would make a lot of sense. I would not be shocked if they had that, especially later in ontogeny, when these animals were full grown. They'd be less likely to have to hide from predators and more likely to kind of stand and fight. So being more conspicuous and having those bright warning colors on their bodies would make a lot more sense. I wouldn't be surprised if these animals were more tightly camouflaged earlier in life, when they're young, smaller, more likely to get eaten, and then when they get bigger and tougher, that's when those bright colors would develop in order to help warn off predators. In fact, I kind of wonder about that. One of the animals that jumps to mind about this sort of thing is the Gila monster. This is a venomous lizard that lives in the American Southwest and northern Mexico. And they've got these bright, don't mess with me, stay away kinds of bright colors there. You know, they've got that high contrast, that black and yellowish orange, orangish yellow. They're saying, hey, you mess with me, I will pump venom into you by biting you, and it will not be pleasant for you. But we know that they have these when they're adults. I wonder what the juveniles look like. Let's test that real quick. Gila monster juvenile. It looks like the juveniles are also brightly colored. Okay, interesting. I guess they're also venomous. So yeah. Let's try hatchling. Are they more camouflaged? No, it looks like they come right out of the egg. All brightly colored like that. Interesting. Huh. I would not necessarily have expected that, but it makes sense. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. My hypothesis? Unconfirmed. Cool. But yeah. Aposomatic coloration. There you go, Psychoanalysis. Yeah. And if it's dangerous, why is it friend-shaped? Dr. Tara, that might be your perception more than the actual animal's evolution there. Yeah. Scout says, is that the Gila monster from Red Dead Redemption 2? No idea, Scout. Your guess is as good as mine. Yeah. And how possible or likely is it that dinosaurs had venom of some sort, CMC Airbus? That's a good question. It has been suggested before for certain dinosaurs. Like Ornithiscian. Yeah. Here's a paper from the journal PNAS. The Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. This has now been pretty much discounted. Just about nobody believes this nowadays. That Ornithiscian was venomous. This is Ornithiscian, by the way. It's basically a lot like Velociraptor. It's another dromaeosaur with feathers all over its body. Although it's got those ridiculous leg feathers, it may have actually been a gliding dinosaur on account of those. Yeah, Ornithiscian. There we go. The grooves that were interpreted as venom glands in its teeth. Yeah, there we go. So here's a headline. Probably wasn't venomous after all. It's kind of ridiculous that got published in the first place. Just sloppy science. So yeah, we don't actually have any evidence of dinosaurs being venomous, which is not altogether shocking. When you think about the old EPB. So when we're trying to figure out, did dinosaurs have a certain thing or were they a certain way, something that doesn't fossilize all that well, we often use a kind of a theoretical framework that we call the EPB, the extant phylogenetic bracket. And it works like this. This again is the, EPB. The extant, so living today. Phylogenetic, this is like evolution, family trees, like this tree here. And then bracket, because these are brackets. You know? Get it? So if we're trying to figure out something for dinosaurs that's unknown, doesn't fossilize like venom doesn't fossilize. Venom glands, as soft tissue things, don't fossilize typically. How do you figure that out for dinosaurs? Well, we can look at their closest living relatives, namely birds and crocodilians. Crocodiles are kind of like cousins to the dinosaurs. Distant cousins, but cousins. And birds themselves are living dinosaurs. They actually evolved from dinosaurs. And so birds and crocodiles form kind of a bracket right here around dinosaurs. So if birds had venom and crocodiles also have venom, then it would make sense that dinosaurs would have venom too. Just because they're kind of bracketed there. This would imply that the common ancestor back here had venom, and then that was inherited by birds and by crocodilians and presumably by dinosaurs. But that is not the case. Like, yeah, birds don't have venom, crocodiles don't have venom. So if dinosaurs had venom, that would be something they would have had to evolve independently. That would be like a new novel feature that they would have to evolve, which makes it a lot less likely that they had that. Does that make sense? Think about other things, like, you know, we don't have any preserved eyelids of dinosaurs. So you ask yourself, did dinosaurs have eyelids? Well, let's think about that. Even though we don't have any fossilized eyelids from dinosaurs, we can look at their closest living relatives. Birds, which evolved from dinosaurs, definitely have eyelids. And so do crocodiles. And so, presumably the ancestor of all of these critters back here, the ancestor of birds, which also gave rise to dinosaurs and crocodiles, that had eyelids. And so if dinosaurs didn't, that would be extremely strange. It would be really weird. So we can kind of presume, based on the data that we have, that dinosaurs had eyelids. Does that make sense? That's the EPB, the extant phylogenetic bracket. Does that make sense? So that's why we think we don't really have any good evidence that dinosaurs would have had venom, because we don't see that in their modern relatives, and we don't have any hard evidence of venom glands or grooves in teeth or anything like that for dinosaurs. So yeah. An orchid twilight, I think Gila monsters are probably left to fend for themselves after hatching, but I'm not entirely sure. Yeah. And how are you doing, Petrodactylus? Did I already say hello to you, Petrodactylus? Yes, bearded dragons are a thing. And they are, they're pretty cool critters. They really are. Do you have any bearded dragons, Petrodactylus? Is that why you're saying that? Yeah, they make wonderful pets. So, yeah. And Golganek says, oh, shoot, you're right, Golganek, we do. How could I forget? I was showing this example about eyelids and stuff and going, oh, we don't have any fossilized eyelids from dinosaurs. We actually do from like 1 or 2 species of dinosaurs. We have fossilized eyelids from Ankylosaurus magniventris. And you know why? It's because they actually had bony eyelids. They're not just soft like our eyelids, where they're like soft skin. Ankylosaurus actually had armored, bony eyelids. Which is pretty extraordinary. These were tough animals. Ankylosaurus eyelids. There we go. I've never actually seen a picture of these, but I've always read about it. It'd be nice to see that in a paper somewhere. You always hear it discussed, but I don't know if I've ever actually seen an image of ankylosaur eyelids. Yeah. Anyway. That is the best Ankylosaurus depiction that I know of. That is really excellent. from the Saurian game. And it's got that kind of warning coloration, just like I was showing you on the Gila monster. Yeah. So yeah, from that we go back to Stegouros. Or Stegouros. Whatever you want to call it. Tomato, potato. And that's how much we actually have of this animal. Including that remarkable tail that you see there, which kind of resembles the macahuitl weapon used by Aztec warriors. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. I kind of wonder if this animal was not yet full grown, because it looks pretty lanky. I don't know. It looks kind of juvenile to me, but I don't know. Anyway, we've only got one specimen of this animal, and it's about that big. As far as I know, we've got one specimen. I know they say it represents an adult. Maybe they did a histo on it. Yeah. But let's look at the original paper here, as long as it's open access. Oh, what a wonderful reconstruction of this animal. What a cutie. They're on the... They must be on the very southern tip of South America there. Gazing out upon the ocean.
Hello. The creature we will be examining is a paleontologist.
Spudley TV, thank you so much for the raid. How are you doing? And welcome to Paleontologizing. It's good to have you here. Wrong button. There we go, that's better. Spudley, how did your stream go? I hope it was excellent. What did you get up to? I want to hear all about it. You wouldn't mind sharing? How do you do, Andrew Holding? Welcome back to you. What's shaking? Happy New Year to you. Welcome everybody to Paleontologizing. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist here on Twitch, trying to do the best science outreach that I can. You know, talking to folks about fossils and trying to give you an inside peek into how paleontology works. To the best of my ability. I dig up dinosaurs during the summer. I study them. I publish on them in the scientific literature. I'm just working on a new publication right now, actually. Or on an abstract for a conference, which will later be published as a paper. But yeah. Spudley wanted to know if dinosaurs eat potatoes. Today they do, but they didn't used to. And you submitted a paper yesterday? Very nice, Andrew Holding. What was it on, if you don't mind my asking? May it be accepted without revisions, and may reviewer 2 be kind to you for once, Andrew Holding. Yeah. Let's see. Yes, indeed, dinosaurs do eat French fries today. Here's a video of them attempting to do so and being thwarted by some mysterious technology. There we go. Oh, no. Birds, of course, are living dinosaurs. So the next time you see a gull, or a sparrow, or a pigeon, or a grackle eating some French fries, you're watching a dinosaur eat potatoes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But yeah. Yeah. Here, that was a little cruel. Let's, There we go. Here's some dinosaurs successfully eating some potatoes. These are either grackles or brewer's blackbirds, it looks like. They might be brewer's blackbirds. Well, it's a long tail for a blackbird. I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, Spudley, I hope you had a great stream. And, it's great to have you here. Yeah. You think it was a grackle? Okay, Kirsten, that would make sense. That looks like a female right there who just took off. There she is again. Yeah, that very well could be a grackle. Yeah. Yeah, look at her go. Eat those taters. Anyway, everybody, we're doing a deep dive right now on this remarkable dinosaur, Stegouros. Tomato, potato, you know. Pretty neat animal. And shoot, even the New York Times wrote about it. This dinosaur found in Chile had a battle axe for a tail, and I'm gonna paywall you. Here, give me a second. We can deal with this. There we go, that should do it. Yeah. While ankylosaurs are already known from their armor and club tails, this specimen from South America had a unique way of fighting predators. And it used its tail, which reminded the authors of this weapon, called the Macahuitl, the Aztec Great Sword, right here. Pretty interesting. Yeah. Not the sort of thing you want to get whacked with. Definitely not. Yeah, here's a link to that article, by the way. And, let's take a look at the actual paper here for Stegouros. That right there. Scroll down to the bottom. And top of the references here. If I remember correctly, this is open access, right? Preprint. That's not what we're looking for. Let's see. What do I want to do? Try this. Science back alley here. Copy. Paste. Enter. Nope. Let's see. Oh, give me a second here. Here, as we're doing dinosaur deep dives, we try hard to actually look at the original literature whenever we can. And, come on now. This is paywalled, unfortunately. It is in the journal Nature, which is supposed to be highly prestigious, but if it's so prestigious, why can't we access it, you know? That seems like a major L right there. I'm being obtuse, but still, point stands. Well, I guess we might not be able to see this. I could try and find the author's profile on ResearchGate or something like that. Oh, here we go. Here's a preprint. That'll work, at least. I always try and show the original literature if we can get to it when we're doing a dinosaur deep dive, because I think it's really important for people to see, you know, the actual scientific paper here. No middleman, no editorializing, nothing like that. Raptor Rapture, thank you so much for the 25 months of support. Really appreciate that. And what an appropriate set of emotes there. Some dinosaurs are birds, namely the birds, Raptor Rapture, but all birds are dinosaurs. Raptor Rapture, thank you so much for the 25 months of support. That's a long time. You know, that's... It's almost a whole year, isn't it, Raptor Rapture? Thank you for your ongoing support. It means a lot to me. It really does. Welcome back to Paleontologizing, Raptor Rapture. And thanks for keeping me going for the past 25 months. It means a lot. It really does. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Close to a year. I will get there one day. You will, Raptor Rapture. You will. As I was saying, I think it's really important to, as best we can, show the actual papers here, because for many of you watching, you know, you probably, I don't know, you might be different, everybody watching right now, actually. But for most people, for, you know, for hoi polloi, the common folks, you know, who don't necessarily watch Paleontologizing here on Twitch, they're not as special as all of you kind and beautiful people. For most people, they never actually really see a scientific paper. Maybe in all their days, going about their daily lives, they might never actually lay eyes on a scientific paper. You hear about scientific papers, usually in kind of a hazy way on the news, you know, on the morning zoo radio station. You know, those very chipper hosts will be like, oh, well, you know, there's a new study that was just published today. Scientists are saying that chocolate could actually reduce your risk for cancer. Like, oh, wow, is that true? Yes, it is. It's right here in this new paper. It's like, wow, those scientists, you know, publishing those things. I love to eat chocolate, whatever. I feel like that's most people's exposure to actual scientific papers. Is like you're just kind of hearing about it through the media, and it's just a soundbite. It's just a tidbit. It's just the tiniest little bit of information that might reach you, and that might even be a complete misrepresentation of what the paper actually said, you know? I feel like a lot of people, they think, as a result, they think of science as being this far-off, hazy thing, maybe locked away in some ivory tower somewhere.
We've got a amazing 70-million-year-old dinosaur egg, and they're perfectly preserved. Cool!
Hello, everybody.
Nafron, thank you so much for the 20 months of support. Really appreciate that, Nafron. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But yeah. That was spot on. I wasn't trying to do Goofy, the Disney character. Gorge. That's not what I was going for, but yeah. You know, I was going for like the, you know, the morning zoo kind of voice, you know. Let's see. There we go. Derp, hang on a second.
Top of the hour, time for the morning news. But of course there is no news yet. Everyone's still asleep in their comfy beds. Good night, everybody.
That's not exactly what I was looking for. What was I looking for? Let's see.
This is the DJ3000. It plays CDs automatically, and it has 3 distinct varieties of inane chatter.
Hey, how about that weather out there? Whoa, that was the caller from hell. Well, hot dog, we have a wiener.
Man, that thing's great. Don't Praise the machine.
If you don't get that kid an elephant by tomorrow, the DJ 3000 gets your job.
Looks like those clowns in Congress did it again. What a bunch of clowns.
How's he keep up with the news like that?
Anyway, you know what I mean. Does anybody still listen to the radio nowadays, actually? Maybe I'm way behind the times here. But, yeah. Anyway, I do feel like that's the kind of, you know, with most people, if they have any exposure at all to new scientific findings, it's through the news, through the radio like that. Television news, radio news, just little snippets that it's like all of the actual real information has been filtered out of it, and it's just like a, you know, a dumb, catchy soundbite. So yeah. Yeah. That's why I think it's really important to actually show people that this is what a scientific paper looks like, you know? This isn't formatted in its final form, but anyway. When we as scientists are presenting new information to each other, this is the medium in which we do it. This is a peer-reviewed scientific paper. So here it is for Stegouros. So yeah, Stegouros seems to be specifically related to Kunbarasaurus from Australia, and Antarctipelta from Antarctica, which makes a lot of sense, because Stegouros is, as we say here, from subantarctic Chile. Chile used to be further south than it is today, along with the rest of South America. Let me show you. Say 120 million years ago. This is what our own Earth looked like this. So Africa and South America, both further south. This is basically the Antarctic Circle right here. And so Stegouros from southern Chile is from inside the Antarctic Circle. Much of Antarctica was underwater at the time, too, which is kind of interesting. Sea levels were a lot higher than they are today. But, yeah. That's what we mean by sub-Antarctic Chile. Yeah. Anyway, very cool animal, Stegouros. And I wish I could show you the, you know, the article actually. At least we've got figures here. These are some of the same ones that we just saw. There is that weaponized tail right there. Very, very cool. Anyway, Stegouros. Really cool animal. And it seems to form a group with Kunbarasaurus from Australia, Antarctipelta from Antarctica, and Stegouros. Really cool that you've got these three dinosaurs right here that all form a clade together, like a group that comes from a single common ancestor. We call that a clade. A clade is like a real evolutionary family. They're all actually related to each other. That's why it's real. It's a clade. Which is cool. All these southern ankylosaurs together like that. You know? Yeah. Venerable southern ankylosaurs. So yeah. Yeah. Anyway. Let's see. You listen to the radio, but not talk radio, says Diagonal. Yeah. If we have any tech people in here, which I'm sure we do, they might be like, well, actually, you know that Wi-Fi is, strictly speaking, Wi-Fi is a kind of radio. So, with you broadcasting right now, Danny, and me watching you on my laptop, you know, this is actually, strictly speaking, a radio broadcast. And I suppose you're right. But anyway, yeah. And there are aggregators and or dedicated science news websites. Very true, Trunk. This has been reviewed already. It's made it through review. It's been published in the journal Nature. So we can go to, excuse me. There we go. Here it is in the journal Nature. Although, unfortunately, Nature is a legacy journal and is paywalled. So we can't look at the actual formatted article because I don't have the kind of, I don't have that kind of moolah, you know, to be able to subscribe to Nature. Very few individual people do. So yeah. But yeah. Yeah, Gimpleg, I'm not made of, well, airports. I'm not made of airports, Gimpleg. Speaking of which. Yeah. That's from this right here.
Hey, customers, thank God. Papa needs a new pair of everything. Hey, how you doing? Welcome to scenic Waynesport. And remember your visit with a googly-eyed walnut. How about a googly-eyed rock? Some nice local squash candy. A stressed-out Pepsi bottle. Come on. If this stuff is too nice for you, I've got some crap.
Turns out Rodney Dangerfield is Mr. Burns' son.
More bread than a prison meatloaf. He's rich, I tell you. I never seen a place with a walk-in mailbox. Hey, who am I talking to?
Hey, you're that hitchhiker. What are you doing here?
Learning a family business. I'm Larry Burns, the boss's son. Relax. I don't want to work. I'm so lazy I took lessons on a player piano.
Wow, that's really lazy.
Lazy? You're not kidding. Well, I'm like a rug on Valium. I'm talking lazy.
So lazy.
This must be the son I've heard so much about. Larry, you must meet our daughter, the debutante. She came out.
Blah blah blah. Here's the line I'm looking for.
Did you meet Larry?
Oh yes. He made light of my weight problem, then suggested my motto should be Semper Fudge. At that point, he told me to relax.
How are his test scores?
Let's just say this. He spelled Yale with a 6.
Jeez. Dad and I, we started out.
Where's the... No, it doesn't have the line I'm looking for? Shoot. Hang on a minute. There we go.
Well, did you meet Larry?
Oh, yes. He made light of
his test scores.
Let's just say this. He spelled Yale with a 6.
I see. Well, I just remembered it's time for my annual donation. I wonder how much I should give.
Well, frankly, test scores like Larry's would call for a very generous contribution. For example, a score of 400 would require a donation of new football uniforms, 300 a new dormitory, and in Larry's case, we would need an international airport.
Yale could use an international airport, Mr. Burns.
Are you mad? I'm not made of airports. Get out!
Anyway, that's where... Sorry, that was a long prelude to a simple joke, but yeah. Not made of airports. I can't afford a personal subscription to all these different publications, including Nature magazine, you know? So yeah. Anyway, still worth it? Oh, okay. Thank you. You're kind, Senua and Gimpleg. So yeah, I'm not made of airports. Press X for Simpsons reference / clip. There you go, Lenina. It's a common occurrence here, you know? That should be on Paleontologizing bingo, honestly. Which, I think I actually jotted down some ideas for that a while ago, didn't I? Yeah. Do I not have Simpsons reference on there yet? I guess I don't. Simpsons, it would help if I'd spell reference wrong. Reference correctly, I mean. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. And Trunk, those legacy journals. Yeah, they take money from the authors and the readers. Absolutely, yeah. The authors and the readers, and when I first learned that the, universities have to pay money to those journals to have free access for all of their students and faculty and researchers and everybody else. And the negotiations, like there's no flat fee that a university pays for that. They have to negotiate with the publishing company. And those negotiations are done behind closed doors under strict secrecy, because the journals don't want the public to know how much these universities have to pay to the publishers. And it's like multiple tens of millions of dollars per year, evidently. It's absolutely bonkers. Just really, really scummy. So yeah. So anyway, yeah. But that is the thing, High Tech Low Life, absolutely. And welcome back, High Tech. It is great to see you here. Thank you for joining us. Here's a little secret that the journals and the publishing companies don't want you to know about. You ready? Here, come a little bit closer. I'll whisper it to you. You can actually email the authors of the paper, and if you ask nicely, or even if you ask rudely, don't ask rudely, ask nicely, they will email you a copy of the paper for free. You didn't hear that from me. Just so we're clear. So yeah. You're good, High Tech. No, you're good. Thank you for bringing that up. I often forget to say that, but it's true. Yeah. That's how you get around paywalls. One paper at a time, I suppose. There's some other tips and tricks, which, yeah, I could say that there might be a certain hub for science, a science hub that you can sometimes use for also gaining access to peer-reviewed papers if you can't afford to pay the journal fees, which, let's be honest, nobody can. And yeah, and this is allegedly true, allegedly in a video game, in Minecraft, in a dream that I had. A science hub. So yeah. And Astronomy Show, I think didn't I just play that one? Yeah, I just played this video. Thank you, Astronomy Show. Science, Allie J. That's not quite it. Anyway, those who know. Yeah. But yeah. 7 youths and 7 maidens per year. Exactly, Golganek, fed to the publishing monster. And Shrunk says, if they are allowed to, some faculties/universities usually have to sign over all the rights to replication to Elsevier and co. Yeah, but most, I don't know. I know some scientists who were part their university, or rather, I think the state that they worked in, which I think the regents of their university technically work for the state, and then so you've got to abide by state laws and everything. Are they really going to prosecute, a researcher for that? Well, I don't know. They're scientific journals. I'm sure they'd have those researchers boiled alive, those publishing companies, just out of spite. But anyway, I don't know. A lot of people don't necessarily follow those rules, and, sometimes following the letter of the law is actually morally incorrect. So yeah. Anyway, not all laws are just. I'm gonna say that, Render unto Caesar. No, let's throw Caesar to the crocodiles. Yeah. Oh, you went out to go get the link and then oh, okay, astronomy show. Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, that's funny. You came up with the same exact link that I just watched with the grainy quality and everything. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. And it has been cool seeing a lot of paleontologists post their papers on Twitter, although usually they only do open access papers. That's actually going to get us into what we're talking about today. So why don't we get into that? Let me cross off Stegouros from our Dinosaur Deep Dives roster here. Thank you again, Dr. Javasaurus, for suggesting an excellent dinosaur there. Very nice. And let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this one, actually. Delete row. There we go. Very nice. We've only got... They're actually slowly growing again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Shoot. We were at like 5 the other day. We'll do some more dinosaur deep dives later on in the stream, I think. But for right now, let's talk about a newly published paper, which I also learned about through that accursed bird website. And here it is right here. That's, by the way, the accursed bird website, not the paper. Here's the site itself, and then here's the paper, too. This is actually how I find out about a lot of the new publications in dinosaur paleontology. I follow a lot of my dinosaur paleontology colleagues here on Le Twitter. And, yeah. Here we've got this one. Here's a link to the paper, right there from the journal Current Biologie. Multiple pathways to herbivory underpinned deep divergences in Ornithiscian evolution. Very interesting stuff. And I think one of these authors, Mark E.H. Jones, I wonder if that's the same Mark Jones that I was buddies with in 2014 at the Mid-Mesozoic conference in Utah and Colorado. Where's he from? If he's from England, then yeah, there you go. Yeah, same Mark Jones. He was I was in the same van as him like the whole week. Man, we talked a lot. Holy cow. But yeah, nice day at the beach. There you go, freelancer, yes. Oh, and a Raptor, this one is not stuck behind a paywall. Yeah. It is open access, even though it is from Elsevier. Elsevier? Yeah. Anyway, here's the paper. Let's take a look at the tweet, though. It's from NHM Dino Lab. Dinosaur researcher at London's Natural History Museum. This is Paul Barrett, isn't it? Yeah. So it says, we looked at 5 early diverging taxa. And taxon is just the name that we have for like a, you know, like a group of living things. Call that a taxon. Whether it's a genus or a species or a family or an order, whatever ranked group it is, it's like, you know, it's basically like a clade, I guess. It's another word for clade, I suppose. It's interesting to think about it that way. I've never thought about it that way before. But there it is. Yeah. And, Elsevier, says Dr. Javasaurus. Dr. Javasaurus, I understand you're correct about how to pronounce it. But sometimes people in my position enjoy mispronouncing certain things to show a certain degree of healthy contempt. So that's what I'm doing here. I will continue to say, oh, it is just the publishing group Elsevier. And, you know, I'm just going to continue to do that. Because, you know, yeah. So, I understand, Dr. Javasaurus, and I appreciate you. But yeah. Anyway, this is a cool paper. And, you know, no slight on the authors of this paper, the researchers there. And let's see if I can identify these taxa just by their skulls. That's very clearly Heterodontosaurus right there. This is some kind of other primitive Ornithiscian. It's not going to be Pisanosaurus because we don't have a skull from that. It's not Heterodontosaurus. That's probably Lesotosaurus right there. This is going to be... It looks like if you just took a Stegosaurus and then made it more primitive, you put it in the, you shoved it down the primitive chute. This is probably some kind of Scelidosaur right there. That looks like a Hypsilophodon skull, complete with those premaxillary teeth. And that is clearly Psittacosaurus, right there. So yeah, I'm gonna say Heterodontosaurus, Lesotosaurus, maybe Emausaurus? Or maybe Scelidosaurus? I forget. I know we've got a good skull for Scelidosaurus, so I'm gonna say Scelidosaurus. Hypsilophodon and Psittacosaurus is what I'm gonna say. Although this could be some other kind of Psittacosaurid, whatever. Heterodontosaurus, Lesotosaurus, Scelidosaurus, Hypsilophodon, Psittacosaurus. That's what I'm gonna say for these. And these are all what we call Ornithiscian dinosaurs. Ornithiscian dinosaurs are very confusingly called the bird-hipped dinosaurs. That's what the name Ornithiscian means. So there's kind of a basic split at the base of the dinosaur family tree between Ornithiscian and Saurischian dinosaurs. So there you go. Yeah, this'll work. Let's annotate this, shall we? So these guys are Saurischians over here. These are the quote-unquote lizard-hipped dinosaurs. And then Ornithiscians are the so-called... That's these guys here. The bird-hipped dinosaurs. So, lizard-hipped dinosaurs and bird-hipped dinosaurs. Given that, chat, which group of dinosaurs do you think birds actually evolved from? The lizard-hipped or the bird-hipped dinosaurs? Take a guess. Which group of dinosaurs did birds actually evolve from? Yeah. Fish don't have hips. But or maybe they do, I don't know. Yeah. If you guessed that birds evolved from the bird-hipped dinosaurs, then, you would be incorrect, you know? Maybe you live here. Whoop. Sorry, here.
The land of make-believe.
No. Birds actually evolved from the lizard-hipped dinosaurs. Yeah. That's where they're from. This whole... Maybe we can watch a brief video on this, actually. And, maybe that will be helpful. Can we find such a thing? Excuse me. Let's see if this is any good right here. Screencast 2? What's this going to be about?
Everyone. Welcome to my second screencast for Infotech 550. And in this screencast, I want to talk a little bit about the difference between Ornithiscian and Saurischian dinosaurs.
I don't feel this is going to be super helpful. Sorry. Don't mean to be a tease about this kind of thing. But anyway, you've got two major groups of dinosaurs. There's basically a split right there at the base of the dinosaur family tree. And, well, here, Here's Phil Curry, who's going to talk a bit... Oh, wait, hang on. It's Betsy Crook. I went to school with Betsy. Small world. Here she is in a video on YouTube. Yeah, shoot. I almost, like, when Betsy moved out of her old apartment in Bozeman, Montana, I was considering moving in, and then somebody else scooped it up before I got my first apartment in Bozeman. But, yeah, on the YouTube, Ashar Adele, exactly. Yeah. And birds did not evolve from Dromaeosaurs raptor. No, they share a common ancestor with Dromaeosaurs. Let's listen to what Betsy and Phil Curry have to say about Ornithiscian dinosaurs, the bird-hipped dinosaurs. Those are not the dinosaurs that birds evolved from. And this is not an Ornithiscian here either.
Your group of dinosaurs is the Ornithiscians.
Yep.
There are two key traits that distinguish all Ornithiscians from Saurischians.
Number one is in their hips, as you would probably guess. That's probably what they're going to say. Number two is the predentary bone. They've got a beak bone on their lower jaw that no other dinosaurs have. Only Saurischians have it, and as far as I know, excuse me, only Ornithiscians have it. Only Ornithiscians have the predentary bone, and all Ornithiscians have the predentary bone. I think that's probably what she's going to say.
First, Ornithiscians have a hip with a pubic bone that points backwards.
Yep, right there.
Sometimes the backwards pointing pubis of an Ornithiscian dinosaur does have a projection that points forward.
Yeah.
But these forward projections are usually short, so don't let them confuse you.
Yep.
Recall that the backwards pointing pubic bones of Ornithiscians resembles those of birds. However, this similarity is actually an evolutionary convergence.
So anyway, what she's saying here is basically ignore all of this because it's all super confusing and it doesn't make sense. Which is true. Like, really the thing that distinguishes Ornithiscians, they have superficially similar hips to birds, but they're only similar on the surface. The actual nuts and bolts of it is not actually similar to birds. So these were called the bird-hipped dinosaurs because when good old Harry Govier Seeley was looking at dinosaur hips, here is Harry Govier Seeley right here. Yeah, let's look him up on the old Wikipedia. He's a British paleontologist. Yeah. And dinosaurs. Seeley determined that dinosaurs fell into two great groups, Saurischia and Ornithiscia, based on the nature of their pelvic bones, their hip bones and joints. He published his results in 1888 from a lecture he had delivered the previous year. Seeley's division has stood the test of time, although birds have subsequently been found to descend not from the bird-hipped Ornithiscia, but from the lizard-hipped Saurischia. There you go. So he found the two groups so distinct that he argued for separate origins. He didn't actually think that Dinosauria was a clade, was a real taxonomic phylogenetic group. He thought that these were like two unrelated groups of animals. He thought that dinosaurs were not really a true group, that it should be called Saurischians over here and Ornithiscians over there. But as we understand it today, it seems that Saurischians and Ornithiscians actually have a common ancestor. They are all together, both groups, dinosaurs. We classify them both within Dinosauria because they seem to have come from the same ancestor at the very beginning. Does that make sense? Yeah. So yeah. But anyway, yeah. And Purple Person says, I grew up watching Jurassic Park. What are the major inaccuracies depicted in the film? Purple Person, I could do a whole series of streams on that. We're not going to focus on it right now, but... yeah, shoot. Purple Person. If you want to watch a video, I'm going to bookmark this for another time. Let me find you a video here. This is actually from the official Paleontologizing YouTube page. Where? There we go. I actually sat down and watched Jurassic Park with somebody who had never seen the movie before. There we go.
Well, hey there. This is Paleontologizing.
This is from years ago.
And today we've got something pretty special planned.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park isn't just one of the most popular films of all time. It's also tremendously important as a cultural touchstone.
I didn't really know how to edit video back then, or audio.
Public outreach.
So audio's pretty
That's
lousy.
important to understand. After all, as a dinosaur paleontologist, it's my job not just to dig these animals up and to study them, but also to make sure that information from my science is getting to the public. And like it or not, Jurassic Park has shaped the public's view of dinosaurs for a generation.
Yeah.
To explore this idea, I sat down with one of my favorite people in the world who has somehow managed to have never seen this movie before.
Today we are being joined by the lovely and whip-smart Marielle Colvin.
Hi.
So, Marielle, despite being a native Montanan, you were born and raised in Montana, correct?
Yep, 6 generations back.
6 generations, geez. And yet, you have never seen Jurassic Park. Which might be... Tell me if I'm wrong about this in the comments, but that might be one of the most prominent films to ever actually feature scenes in Montana.
A river runs through it.
I've never seen that.
I still haven't seen that movie.
I would say, well, maybe it's not more prominent.
I don't think it is.
Arrival has some scenes that take place in Montana too.
Yeah.
Give Brad Pitt.
Anybody else in chat know any other movies that take place in the state of Montana? Like they're set in Montana? Not filmed in Montana, but set in Montana. Anybody know? Yeah.
You've never seen
I've
it,
never
but
seen
I
it.
would say, well, maybe it's not more prominent.
I don't think it is.
Star Trek First Contact, that's a good answer, XF Kirsten. It takes place outside of Bozeman, Montana, where I used to live. Yeah, that's really funny that First Contact takes place in little old Bozeman. That's so funny. First Contact, the event, not just the film, but the event. Contact with the Vulcans, right? Contact with an extraterrestrial species. Yeah.
It's also quite famous.
Yeah.
Gave Brad Pitt his start, so.
Okay. Is that right?
Mhm.
He used to be a model before he was an actor, wasn't he?
I think so.
Huh. Interesting.
I'm not up to date on my Brad Pitt.
Anyway, here's this link to this video.
Not either. But there is one thing that I'm pretty sure about, and I'm pretty sure that most of the people watching this will be more familiar with Jurassic Park than A River Runs Through It. I'm not shitting on that movie or anything. Just so another interesting thing. I mean, you're pretty legit in this.
Anyway, yeah. I've got a whole video about that. Rusty Shackelford, so check that out if you'd like to see it. Yeah. And many scenes in Jurassic Park were filmed in Hawaii, but there's also the dig site scene in Jurassic Park. It's supposed to take place in Montana. This is what I'm talking about. Yeah. Badlands near Snakewater, Montana. And that's a made-up place. Snakewater, Montana is not a real place. Anyway, but this guy's based on my old boss, Jack Horner. The character of Alan Grant, Sam Neill's character in that movie, is based on my old boss, Jack Horner. So yeah. And I do not think Forrest Gump starts in Montana, Trunk, but I could be wrong. I'm very open to being wrong about that. Yeah. And, now Jack Horner does like kids, Benevolent. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And you could include Jurassic Park 3 and Jurassic World Dominion. I thought that scene in Jurassic World Dominion took place in Utah, Raptor. Well, I could be wrong. Yeah. And is Jack Horner nicer than Alan Grant? I don't know, High-Tech Lowlife. I've never met Alan Grant because he's a fictional person. It's a fictional character. But I don't know. Jack Horner, he has kind of a prickly exterior that sometimes I feel is kind of cultivated. Jack is a nice guy. But yeah, I don't know. But he doesn't take any BS, you know? And yeah, I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, Ornithiscian dinosaurs. Let's get back to the bird-hipped dinosaurs.
Indicating no close relationship.
Yep.
Birds belong among Saurischian dinosaurs, not among the Ornithiscians.
Yep.
The second trait that distinguishes Ornithiscians
is their predentary bone.
Special bone in the lower jaw.
Yeah.
The predentary. No other animals have one. The Ornithiscians were all herbivorous, and both of their key traits were
So this whole half of the dinosaur family tree is herbivorous. These are all plant-eating dinosaurs. Let me see if I can show you. Let's see. Let's pull up a dinosaur phylogeny here. This is an evolutionary family tree of the dinosaurs. That'll work. Oh yeah. Nice. Let's annotate this. So again, this is what we call a phylogeny. Phylogeny. This is an evolutionary family tree. So there's Dinosauria right there. Dinosauria is a true clade. A clade is a group of living things that all share a common ancestor. So dinosaurs, as far as we know, all evolved from one ancestor here. So they all belong to the same group. All dinosaurs are part of a clade like that. And so you've got a major split right here at the beginning. You've got Ornithicia over here and Sauriscia over there. Birds are over here. They evolved from Saurischian dinosaurs, lizard-hipped dinosaurs. Although by the time they're evolving into birds, the hips start to look like bird hips. Like they do in, say, Velociraptor, which you see right here. At least it's very similar to Velociraptor. Anyway, the Ornithiscian dinosaurs... Whoop. The Ornithiscian dinosaurs start off right here. And all of these guys have got that predentary bone, that beak bone in their lower jaw. And these are all plant eaters. All of them. All of these guys, all of Ornithicia is vegetarian. They all eat plants. Some of them may have occasionally eaten meat, but like, yeah, Stegouros is a plant eater, Ankylosaurus, Parasaurolophus, Centrosaurus, probably mostly Pachycephalosaurus and Heterodontosaurus too. Occasionally some of these guys may have, these two guys right here actually, may have occasionally eaten meat every once in a while, but Ornithicia as a whole are adapted for eating plants. So these guys are all plant eaters right here. And these guys in Sauriscia are also adapted for eating plants. These sauropodomorphs. So really the only meat-eating dinosaurs you have are the theropods. Theropods right there. That's the group that birds evolved from. And some of these guys even ate plants too. They evolved for eating plants, like the therizinosaurs, probably the ornithomimosaurs, chilesaurs, limusaurids, oviraptorosaurs possibly. So anyway, meat eating is kind of the exception within Dinosauria. Most dinosaurs were plant eating, including basically all of the Ornithiscian dinosaurs, one whole half of the dinosaur family tree. All of these guys, all plant eaters. with very, very, very few exceptions. Even the ones that occasionally ate meat probably mostly ate plants most of the time. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. Anyway. Anyway, Ashara yeah, this group right here is called the bird-hipped dinosaurs, Ornithicia. Ornith meaning bird, ischia meaning like ischium, hips, it's a bone in the hips. These are the quote-unquote bird-hipped dinosaurs, despite the fact that birds are actually right here. And they're part of the lizard-hipped dinosaur group, Saurischia. It's because the guy who named this, Helicoprion Seeley, whom I showed you earlier, the guy with the beard from the Wikipedia article, he had no idea that birds evolved from dinosaurs. He was looking at these guys and going, wow, their hips look kind of like bird hips. I'm going to call them bird-hip dinosaurs because they look superficially similar to bird hips. He didn't realize that birds actually evolved from dinosaurs like this velociraptor or troodontid or whatever this is, who had started to evolve bird-like hips. Here, I'll show you. Yeah. Let's see. Like we were looking at here, most of these so-called lizard-hipped dinosaurs, like this big carnivorous Allosaurus, they've got a pubis that sticks forward in the front. Let's annotate this too. The pubis is this bone right here in the front. It looks like this. There you go. And it sticks forward in the animal. And in Ornithiscians, the pubis, which looks like that, it sticks mostly backwards, although it's confusing because there's also this little forward projection there too. But forget about that. Forget about that. We're focused on this. The pubis points backwards in Ornithiscians, and it points forwards in Saurischia, in the lizard-hipped dinosaurs. But that's where things... This is why this makes sense. Because the pubis points backwards in birds. And it's like, what? If birds evolved from the lizard-hipped dinosaurs, who have forward-pointing pubises, pupae, then what gives? Well, I'll show you. This little plastic model that I have of the dinosaur Velociraptor, a very closely related dinosaur to birds. Velociraptor is one of the closest dinosaurs to birds that we have as a Deinonychosaur. These guys are very close to birds. Some paleontologists think they might actually be legitimate birds. I wonder about that. Most paleontologists don't think so, but it's a possibility. And look, they've got a pubis that has started to point backwards like that. Their pubis is pointing backwards, just like in birds. So again, it points forwards in other theropod dinosaurs like Allosaurus. Like that. See that? That's the pubis, it's pointing forwards. But in Velociraptor, it starts to take on a very bird-like position. It starts pointing backwards like that. Like in a bird. That's why the bird-hipped dinosaurs were named what they were, because they've got this part of the pubis that's already pointing backwards. But in the dinosaurs that actually evolved into birds, the lizard-hipped dinosaurs, the pubis starts to move backwards just like that. Here it is in Velociraptor. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense. I want to hear some feedback on this, so I know that I haven't lost everybody. Because this stuff is confusing, you know? This is... I don't know. I remember having a conversation a long time with a creationist in the museum that I was working at the time in North Dakota. And he's like, I don't know, I was always told that, you know, you scientists just make all this stuff up. It's like, if we were making this stuff up, don't you think we would try and make it make sense from the beginning? Wouldn't we come up with a clearer story with less, like, weird twists and turns? The real world is full of gray areas and twists and turns and, like, stuff that's surprising and bizarre. You know, wouldn't we have come up with a clearer story if we were just making all this stuff up from the beginning? Anyway, he eventually came around, which is really nice. I had a long, long conversation with him. But yeah. Anyway, makes sense to you, Pfizer? Good. So glad to hear that. Pimcat says, do we know why it's backwards? I don't know if we do. It's a good question. I've never worked on dinosaur hips before. Maybe there is, like, an explanation for why, but I don't know it off the top of my head, yeah. And Jody Fish, we do have those with simply down pubic bones. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so it is, I don't know if it's strictly speaking convergent evolution. It's more of a coincidence than anything, Nafron. Convergent evolution implies you're evolving the same direction because there's some kind of selective pressure. You're doing the same kind of job. And certainly Stegouros is not doing the same kind of a job as a bird. At least not in terms of its hips or anything. I think it's more of a coincidence than convergent evolution. But good question, though. Good question. Yeah. Yeah. Made it up or figured it out? There you go, Oliver. Yes. So anyway. Yeah. And yeah, stratigraphically and directionally, we're working on the stratigraphically part, Jody Fish. We're working on that part. Yeah. But yeah, and Pfizer, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Yeah. It became flipped, that's what I don't understand. Well, in certain dinosaurs, like therizinosaurs, like Nothronicus. So Nothronicus is this big... Well, let me introduce you to this dinosaur, actually. There we go. Should be right about... here. Says a predator. I love that. Ah, that's wonderful. A predator. Yeah, cool stuff. Well, actually, hang on a second.
In 1996, we began to find evidence of, and it was in that bone.
Yeah, there's Jim Kirkland right there. I'm actually emailing back and forth with Jim today. We're working on an abstract for a conference. He's actually helping like lead a conference in June of this year, out in Utah. Very excited about
Really
that.
spectacular. Spared no expense.
Thank you, Victorious, for gifting Oliver.
Gifted Oliver Lozoff a subscription.
Really
Victoria's
appreciate
gifted
that,
a tier 1
Victorious.
sub to Oliver Lozoff.
Thank you, thank you.
They have
And look,
30 gift subs in the channel.
we are now at 1 out of 30 gift subs for today. Only 29 left to reach our goal for the day. We've only got an hour or two left. Let's hope we get there. Let's hope we get there. Anyway, yeah. And Golganic, it will be a published paper at some point, but right now it's a conference abstract that I'm going to be submitting before Friday, the due date, the deadline. So anyway, Jim Kirkland, Utah State paleontologist. And he actually named Nothronicus, this animal who's got a backwards pointing pubis. Or it's like, it's just starting to point backwards. So it provides a nice kind of intermediary. Here's a skeletal drawing of this animal, and its pubis is still kind of pointing forwards, but it's starting to point backwards. It's like starting to move back there in order to make more room in its guts for plants. in case you haven't noticed, plant-eating animals tend to have bigger guts than their meat-eating counterparts. So, like, a panda is a good example. Yeah. Panda bears tend to have pretty big guts because they just sit around and eat bamboo all day. They need a lot of space in there to hold all of that plant material for them to digest. Plant material tends to be much more like low quality than meat. You need to ingest a lot more plants. Like, it's less efficient to digest, you know? You get a lot fewer nutrients per square cubic centimeter of plant material than you do for meat. So you need to really eat a lot of it. And when therizinosaurs were making the transition from eating meat to eating plants, their bellies had to get bigger. And so that pubic bone had to move backward in order to accommodate that. And also, these animals also started to adopt a gait where they're like more upright, kind of walking around like a big ridiculous kangaroo or like Godzilla or something like that. Kind of more upright like this. Big belly would stick out like that. Kind of like, let's see. Paleosaurus. There we go. Like in these guys. In Paleosaurus. There they are, having a panicked stampede and just causing trouble for all kinds of other dinosaurs who are just trying to get out of the way. Like that poor Sinosauropteryx right there. It's about to get run over. Anyway, look at those big old bellies on these animals. Yeah, these guys don't have very good chewing teeth. It seems like they wouldn't actually do much pre-processing. They just eat leaves and stuff, and you know, just bite them and swallow them, basically. They're not doing a lot of chewing. Their teeth aren't adapted for that. They didn't evolve for that purpose. So they've got this big belly that acts like a fermentation chamber. And so moving the pubis out of the way has got a few advantages. It's kind of like an adaptation for them standing more upright, so they can still kind of stay balanced on two legs. And it also makes more space for this big old belly right there. So, yeah, I hope that makes sense. That pubic bone moving out of the way has several advantages. For birds, it might be that it's just a general way to kind of reduce the overall weight of the skeleton for flight or something. We're not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure anyway. So yeah, why exactly the pubic bone would scoot backward in birds is it's a good question. I don't know. In therizinosaurs, it makes sense for those reasons. Making more space for the gut and changing the overall gait of the animal. Changing its center of balance and everything. But yeah. So anyway, yeah. Chonky herbivores indeed, Cobraven. How you doing, Cobraven? Welcome. And Green Dragon, yes, plants are harder to break down than meat. Very true. And Freelancer says that's why Americans have big bellies on their, because of burgers. Freelancer, I know you're kidding, but there might be some truth to that. And did they have gizzards? I think there might be some evidence of gastralia in therizinosaurs, but I don't know what the latest findings are on that, Pfizer. Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, and high-tech low-life. Pandas. Yeah, pandas are very mysterious animals. It's mysterious how they've managed to survive. You know? Don't get me started on pandas. Gah. Yeah. Yeah. And there you go. Orchid says, when I was in China, I asked a caretaker why pandas appeared pudgy compared to the bears of North America. She told me it had to do with fermentation of plant materials that they ate and slower digestion. Yes, Orchid. They've got to have a bigger belly, kind of like these therizinosaurs, because they're eating lower quality food. They're eating plant material. So it's like less energy rich than meat is, so they have to ingest more of it. And so having a big gut like that really helps them out. They've got more space for just shoveling in all this food, just like pandas. So yeah, spot on, Orchid. That's so cool. You got to visit China and see pandas. Oh, I would love to do that. Yeah. And you need the meats, a Chardel. Hey, it worked for me. Yeah. I went meat-free in December of 2011. So that'll be more than 11 years ago now. Yeah. 11 years of vegetarian. Yeah. And anyway. Yeah. Cool stuff. Where were we? Oh yeah, we were talking about bird-hipped and lizard-hipped dinosaurs. So anyway, hopefully that makes sense. With the Ornithiscian dinosaurs, these are the ones we're going to be focusing on with this paper. So yeah, here we have Paul Barrett, I believe, from the Natural History Museum in London. So we looked at 5 early diverging taxa, so 5 of these bird-hipped dinosaurs. Reconstructed their skulls and jaw musculature, and subjected them to FEA, that's finite element analysis, which is a technique that that I think engineers use too. Basically, you generate like a 3D model of a structure, and then you put it through like a stress test, and you see like, oh, which areas are under more stress when you try and bend it and stuff like that. Usually there's different colors involved in the visualization. So we compared those results across the family tree. We found that although they had much in common, all these dinosaurs had adapted to herbivory. They'd adapted to eat plants in different ways, which is interesting. Skeletosaurus got high bite forces through increased size. So that's, yep, it was Skeletosaurus. I was right. Yeah. So Skeletosaurus there at the bottom. These guys, by embiggening their lower jaw, they were able to achieve higher bite forces, better chomping power, by embiggening their lower jaw. Heterodontosaurus achieved it through bigger muscles. That's this critter up here, Heterodontosaurus. So they developed bigger muscles for biting, hence that big ol' post-orbital fenestra right there, I guess. Big ol' muscle attachment spot, probably the temporal fenestra too. Big muscles in these critters allowed them to bite harder. Hypsilophodon right here, through greater efficiency. I don't know what that means. I guess just like, I don't know what they mean by greater efficiency. And Psittacosaurus right here, parrot-beaked dinosaur, through combining the latter two, through big muscles and greater efficiency, I suppose. These guys, Psittacosaurus the parrot lizard, has got this big wicked set of jaws on it. Psittacosaurus. He's got a pretty impressive set of shears. That beak is really something. You would not want that animal chomping down on your wrists. You might be leaving your hand there at the scene if that were to happen. Yowza. You know how hard a parrot can bite? Imagine if that parrot is, 2 meters long. And its head is 20 times bigger. 10 times, whatever. It's pretty formidable. Yeah. So yeah, interesting stuff. But Lesotosaurus is the most primitive of all these critters and does not appear in this chart. The poorest performer had the weakest bite. They're saying that's consistent with omnivory, which is really interesting. Yeah. And that is supposed to be Hypsilophodon right there. Gugh. Come on, Natural History Museum of London. This illustration is like 30, 40 years old. Get with the times. This is embarrassing. Yeah, this is not good. Yeah. And XF Kirsten got bitten by a parrot. Hours before an earthquake. Which earthquake, XF Kirsten? Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Chile, Argentina showing you up exactly, Rune Lore. Yeah. Early dinosaur skulls show how meat eaters became vegetarian. Very cool. Just like me. The skulls of early herbivores are helping scientists understand how a large and diverse group of dinosaurs may have evolved different ways of eating plants. Let me give you the link to this, too, before I forget. This is a cool write-up here. Reconstructing the jaw muscles and measuring the bite force of these dinosaurs shows a surprising variation in eating styles early in the evolution of this group. Dinosaurs evolved to have a wide variety of diets and feeding behaviors. While much is already known about how different dinosaurs consumed their food, relatively little is currently understood about how they evolved their preferred eating style. A new paper published in Current Biology analyzed the skulls of some of the earliest members of the Ornithiscians. These are the deceptively named bird-hipped dinosaurs. That includes Triceratops, Stegouros, and Ankylosaurus. Also Stegouros, or Stegouros, however you want to say it, which we talked about earlier in this broadcast. The study looked at how vegetarianism, what they really mean is herbivory. Vegetarianism is more of like it's more of a human thing. How herbivory, eating plants, may have evolved within this group, whose early members lacked a lot of these specializations of their later relatives. They spelled specializations with an S right there. We'll let it slide, you know? They do things differently there across the pond, and, you know, we just smile and nod. Paul Barrett, dinosaur expert at the museum and a senior author of the study, says, what we're interested in here was seeing how these early plant eaters started to adopt different ways of being an herbivore. Because they're all descended from a carnivorous ancestor, we want to know how they start experimenting with different ways of eating plants and their transition to becoming vegetarians. And you could just hear him trying to, like, he's kind of dumbing this down a little bit. Which, in a good way, you know? In a press release, I suppose you'd do that. Yeah. Do you think some of those are designs for eating coconuts? No, coconuts hadn't evolved yet, Tactile. That's an amusing thought. I'd love to see a Psittacosaurus crack open a coconut. I'm sure they could do it. But these guys lived tens of millions of years before the first coconuts evolved. So yeah. Yeah. These guys are from way before the first coconuts. Which raises the question, what did that crazy beak evolve for? I think part of it was probably defense. You know, for biting predators who might come after it. Think about it. If you're a hungry meat-eating dinosaur and you're looking for somebody to eat, and you encounter this dinosaur, it would look pretty tasty until you see that beak. And then you go, uh-oh, I do not want that beak clamping down on my neck. Oh, but that'd be curtains for me, you know? So yeah, maybe that's part of it. I have some other ideas too, but I can't talk about those yet, because that actually has bearing on some unpublished research, and I need to keep my lips thoroughly zipped about that. So yeah, and turtle beaks. There you go, astronomy show. Turtle beaks can be exceedingly dangerous. Yeah. I mean, holy cow. As pulp magazines from the 1950s or 60s would imply, turtles can be extraordinarily dangerous. Holy cow, chewed to bits by giant turtles. Imagine if these animals were so much larger, you know? Yeah. But anyway, yeah. Stegouros. Formidable animal. You know, it's got a sizable beak on it. You don't want to mess with this critter. Oh yeah. Yeah. Anyway. How much crushing power is in an octopus beak or a squid beak? A lot, Pfizer. A lot. Their beaks work a little bit differently, though, than these guys. It's less of a hinge and more of a... I don't know. They don't have all the hard... Basically, some of their only hard parts are that beak, you know? So it works a little bit differently. I don't know if it's a perfect analogy. But it is a good example of a beak that you want to watch out for, you know? Yeah. And Cobra Raven. Tiny Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah. A member of my field crew this past summer had this t-shirt, which I thought that was really good. Good stuff. Yeah. Good stuff. That was Fletcher, I think, had this. Yeah. Anyway. You can look it up, Cobra Raven. Yeah. Adult, normal, healthy turtles. Just do an image search. That's how I found it. Yeah. And turtles are not dinosaurs. Turtles are not related. They're not close relatives of dinosaurs.
Together in one vast supercontinent.
Altifor.
Dinosaurs soon occupied every corner of that world.
Thank you for the 4 months of support, Altifor. I really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. You've gotten us to 2 subs out of our 30 goal for the day. Altifor, thank you. I know you only get 1 Prime sub per month. Thank you for spending it here. That means a lot to me. It really does. Thank you, thank you. Thanks for supporting Science Outreach here on Twitch. Yeah. And Has Help says, can we safely both call turtles and dinosaurs reptiles? Has Helps, yes, if Has Helps, you would also be comfortable calling this creature a reptile. You ready? If turtles and dinosaurs are reptiles, then this creature has to be a reptile too. All birds have to be reptiles. If you consider dinosaurs reptiles, then birds have to be reptiles too, because birds evolved from dinosaurs. So if dinosaurs are going to be reptiles under your schema, then this critter has to be a reptile too, this hummingbird. Birds have to be reptiles also. That's all birds. Hummingbirds, pigeons, gulls, cormorants, ostriches, tinamoos. Penguins would also be reptiles. So yeah. Your canary appreciates being a dinosaur. There you go, Amelia Bedelia. Yeah. Birds are reptiles. Astronomy show, strictly speaking, yes. And let me show you on our old Tree of Life. Here. Let's pull up Archosauria here. There we go. Archosauria is the group that dinosaurs belonged to. And their modern descendants, birds, who are living dinosaurs, also belong to this group. Birds and crocodilians. Yeah. Who would have thought that a crocodile's closest non-crocodilian relative would be a bird? But yeah, there you go. Birds and crocodilians. We go back a little bit further. Birds, turtles, and crocodilians. Go back a little bit further to a more inclusive group. We get to sauropsids, which are lizards and crocodiles and birds. And I think tuataras also, right? Yeah, there's our tuatara there. So yeah, anyway. So if you're going to use the word reptile, if you're going to use kind of an antiquated term like that, realize that based on what we now know about the tree of life and how these animals evolved, birds have to be reptiles. That's why I don't really use the word reptile anymore, is because when you say that to your regular person on the street, you know, somebody I encounter on the train, you know, if I were to ask them, oh, name some reptiles, they're not going to name any birds, you know? If you use the word reptile to refer to birds, people are going to be confused. But scientifically speaking, based on how these animals actually evolved and what the actual tree of life looks like, who's actually most closely related to whom, birds would have to be reptiles. And again, if I do a Google image search for reptiles, you will find nary a single bird anywhere, you know? I don't see any birds on here. Yeah. I see lizards and snakes and turtles. That's a frog, which is not a reptile. Although I guess the headline is why a frog is not a reptile. They're amphibians. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. However, I did see on YouTube the other day, let's see. Yeah. There is a channel here on YouTube called Clint's Reptiles. Clint's Reptiles. Entitled Cockatoo, the best pet dinosaur? So we'll talk about that. He has a whole channel about reptiles, and, yeah, we'll look at that in a second. Yeah. Was your XGF a bird, Pfizer? Confused. Yeah. And, wait, and Pimpcat's confused about this. Let me scroll up. And Pimpcat says, wait, aren't reptiles cold-blooded and birds warm-blooded? No, Pimpcat. No. This is the thing. So glad you asked that. Oh, this is why I do what I do here, you know? This makes me so happy to be able to talk about this. The whole classification system that you learned in school, you probably learned that, you know, like there's these neatly divided boxes, and like, oh, fish are cold-blooded, and they swim in the water, and they have scales and fins, and they're fish. Amphibians are separate. They're also cold-blooded, and they metamorphose or whatever. Birds are warm-blooded, and they have feathers. And they're different from reptiles. Like, it's wrong. Strictly speaking, like when you get down to the nitty-gritty and actually understand evolution, those hard and fast distinctions start to disappear. Because you recognize that birds actually evolved from dinosaurs, who are reptiles, which makes birds reptiles too. The way that we as scientists classify living things, it's not like we have a checklist and we just go blink, 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 blink. Oh yeah, it's cold-blooded and it has fins and it lives in the water. So, you know, check, it's a fish. That's not how it works. Actual real classification in the modern day is based on phylogeny. It's based on evolution. Who actually evolved from whom? What the actual tree of life looks like. So like, when I was showing you this right here, Sauropsids. Sauropsida is the group that includes lizards, which also includes snakes, and crocodiles and birds, like here and here. Because we know that birds and crocodilians evolved from a common ancestor. So birds, strictly speaking, are a kind of reptile. And that means some reptiles are actually warm-blooded, like birds and like dinosaurs. Nobody would dispute that dinosaurs are reptiles, right? But we now know that most dinosaurs were warm-blooded. And there are even some modern reptiles that are warm-blooded too. Reptiles that are still around today. Let me see if I can show you. Yeah. And let's see here. Oh, I'm trying to find a video about this. Yeah. Honestly, the whole like warm-blooded versus cold-blooded thing doesn't actually work as well as you would like to think.
And therefore keep their bodies up. There
There
are
we
two
go.
types of animals. Warm-blooded ones, which generate heat internally and therefore keep their bodies at a consistent temperature, and cold-blooded ones, which rely on the environment for heat and therefore have body temperatures that fluctuate. But that's basically wrong. I'm David, and this is Minute Earth. When you try to actually
wrong, because in real life it's a bit more complicated than that, I guess. Like, there's more nuance here. There are actually warm-blooded reptiles, like leatherback sea turtles, actually generate their own body heat in cold water through the motion of their limbs.
categorize animals by their temperature regulation strategies. They don't fit neatly into two buckets. Let's take a look at how animals generate their heat.
It's more like a
Mammals
gradient.
humans and bears and hedgehogs mostly generate their heat internally, putting them over here. But other mammals, like naked mole rats, have mostly lost that ability because they live in underground chambers with natural year-round climate control. So let's put them over here. And while many reptiles and invertebrates and fish have to get most of their heat from their surroundings, and thus go here, some, like honeybees and tuna, can also use their powerful muscles to generate heat internally. So they go closer to the middle. Honeybees can actually generate...
And that, I hope they end up moving the leatherback sea turtle, because that's actually an example of an animal that generates its own body heat. Why bring up the leatherback unless you're gonna... we'll see.
So much internal heat that they can collectively cook invading hornets. So how animals generate heat is way less of a split than a spectrum. But the ostensible purpose of being warm-blooded, that you'd keep your internal body temperature consistent, doesn't hold true either. Even though a bear generates its own
shards.
body, when it hunkers down for the winter, its body temperature drops. So we need to add another dimension.
Pipcat says this is more complicated than I expected. I mean, it is a bit more complex and much more interesting than just like, oh yeah, warm-blooded versus cold-blooded. It's not a dichotomy. There's so much more beautiful complexity in the natural world, and I'm so excited to share that with you.
Dimension to really represent all the different temperature regulation strategies.
It's a dinosaur.
And let's see, Gluxwichel, thank you for the follow and welcome to Paleontologizing. Good to have you here.
Out there. And immediately you can see things get even more complicated. This chart allows us to show that some so-called warm-blooded animals, like hedgehogs, occasionally let their body temperatures drop even further than bears do, to almost freezing. And that the body temperatures of some so-called cold-blooded animals barely change at all. Leatherback turtles, for instance, are so massive that they don't lose much heat no matter where they are. And you can even...
Oh, and they also generate a lot of heat by, by moving around through the water. When they're actually, like, propelling themselves using their flippers, they're actually generating body heat doing that, which is really cool. So they do that, plus they have what we call mass homeothermy, where they're big enough that kind of like a big old thermos, they're kind of keeping their heat inside just by sheer mass. They're able to kind of maintain a constant body temperature called mass homeothermy. So yeah.
See that your human
Mayor
body
Space,
temperature
you're right.
isn't always constant. It does vary a bit over time. But wait, there's even more weirdness. Penguins, for example, generate heat internally and keep most of their bodies warm at all times. But they let the temperature in their feet fall to just above the ice that they stand on, which means that on this chart, their feet are here while the rest of their bodies are over here. And marlins have co-opted optical muscles to keep their big eyes and brains warm, while the rest of their bodies get cooler and warmer based on their surroundings. So their bodies are here while their heads are here. And that's without even getting into other aspects of temperature regulation, like all the different ways that animals cool themselves. So why do we continue to try to lump all of these diverse strategies into just two buckets? Well, the same reason we tend to divide lots of animal traits, like their diet and their intelligence and their mating system, into discrete categories, despite the fact that they don't actually fit into those boxes. We divide them because of historical inertia and because human brains like to label things in black and white terms, even when the truth is often more complicated. In order to truly understand what's going on, though, we need to disregard those very human sentiments and instead follow the facts. That is, sometimes even so-called warm-blooded animals have to be a little cold-blooded.
There you go. Pretty cool, right? I'll give you a link to that video right here. That's really well done. That was so quick. I like that a lot. But yeah, there you go, Mayor Space. It did remind me of XKCD with the stick figures and everything. It's good stuff. Yeah. And Gimplek says people used to see everything as either or and simplified things erroneously as two categories. Yeah, dichotomous. Modern science is seeing binaries that are not very real. That's very often true, Gimplek. Absolutely, yeah. The real world is messy and complex and beautiful like that. It usually doesn't really like to fit into our neat little human boxes that we try and put everything into, you know? So yeah. But yeah, warmed through voluntary muscle action, partly Pfizer, but they also have what we call mass homeothermy. Let's see. Let's see if I can find a video about metabolism. Let's see. Because there was a really cool video on this, and I'm trying to find it. Let's see. Yes, homeothermy. Here's a video about
California's official state marine reptile is now getting some new protections.
I didn't know we had an official state marine reptile. How many U.S. states have an official state marine reptile? Actually, it could be almost every state in the union if we think about it. Because for lots of landlocked states, you know, Nebraska and Kansas, Oklahoma, you know, North and South Dakota, they could also have state marine reptiles, but they could be extinct marine reptiles from the Mesozoic era, perhaps. Montana, Trunk, yeah, could have a state marine reptile. You know, get on that, states. 4th graders living in those states, write to your state representatives. Let's get on that. Let's get some state marine reptiles from those states. Anyway.
California's official state marine reptile is now getting some new protections. The California Fish and Game Commission voted unanimously to designate the Pacific leatherback sea turtle an endangered species under the California Endangered Species Act.
Good for them.
Anyone found committing a crime involving an endangered species could be fined up to $50,000 or be sentenced to a year in prison.
All right, nice. That's actually one of my bucket list items. Is to see a leatherback sea turtle in the wild. I dream of that, you know? I would... Oh, man. I would love to see that. So, yeah. Huge pile of official Estate X items, Mayor Space. A lot of that is due to school children, elementary school kids. Yeah. And, oh yeah, that's California's official state marine mammal, I think, Pimp Cat, is the California sea lion, Xylophus californianus, whom you can see right here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Pier 39, sea lions. Paula C, did you unfollow by mistake? Thank you for the follow. Welcome. Yeah.
If you're looking for some cheap land with a great view on San Francisco Bay, forget it. Some visitors beat you to it a long time ago. John Blackstone reports the city hopes they never leave.
Sea lions.
It was 30 years ago this month that hundreds of smelly, noisy sea lions invaded the boat docks of Pier 39 on San Francisco's Fisherman's Wharf.
Yeah.
Shandor had just started her job as harbor master back then.
If you can imagine 1,400 animals on that dock, it was just a seething mass of sea lion noise.
Amazing.
and
Anyway, if you ever visit, if any of you are not from the San Francisco Bay Area, or even if you are and you happen to visit San Francisco, there's a really touristy area over here, Fisherman's Wharf, Pier 39. There's a lot of really chintzy shops and stuff like that, most of which are best avoided. But see if you can go find the sea lions. During about half the year, the docks here are just absolutely teeming with these animals. They are everywhere there, and they're really cool to see. There's a big male. Yeah. And lots of people line up to take pictures and videos of them. They're a major draw. Really, really cool. And that is our state marine mammal, the California sea lion, Xylophus californianus. By the way, the seals that you often see at circuses, or that you used to see at circuses, I suppose. Like, I guess you can still see them in Russia. They're not seals at all. Circus seals, you know, they'll go, ork, ork, ork. You know, clap their flippers together. Lies. Lies. Mentiras. Those are not seals. They're sea lions, and they're almost always California sea lions. Xylophus californianus. Seals are different. They're, there's, like, distinct differences between them. In their gait, in the way that their hind flippers work. Seals versus sea lions. Let me find you a video about that. Here we go. Too loud, too loud. So, yeah. And sea lions.
A lot of differences between seals and sea lions.
Walruses are I forget. I think walruses are most closely related to sea lions, more closer than the seals, I think. Yeah. I think they're closer to sea lions, aren't they, Maris? Well, let's look. Shoot. Well, let's watch the video first, and then we'll look them up on the Tree of Life. There we go.
And most of them are physical.
Oh, Taridae. Thank you, Masculine.
If you look at a seal and you look at a sea lion, you're going to want to look for their ear flaps.
Yep.
Seals are technically considered earless seals, so they actually just have an opening on their head that leads down into their ear canal.
It's kind of smooth there.
Sea lions actually have a ear.
They got a little ear.
Which is just a flap of skin right atop of their ear.
See it? Yeah. So if you see ears, it's a sea lion.
There's a variety of other smaller things. Sea lions are much more flexible on land.
Yep. So sea lions. Watch.
Smaller things. Sea lions.
Sea lions, think they're, you know, they're like lions in the sense that their legs work, you know? Their hind legs can actually support their weight, and they actually, like, walk around with all four legs. Seals kind of just go on the land. They kind of have to flop like a... I don't know. Their hind limbs don't actually work anymore. They just drag limply behind them, and a seal. You know?
Whereas seals undulate to make themselves move.
See? They just kind of go...
like a caterpillar, like a giant slug.
Yeah.
Sea lions, they look much more graceful. They can run pretty quickly on land, and their back flippers can go underneath of their ears to help them do that.
Pretty cool. Yeah, does that make sense? So now let's look up, pinnipeds. So true seals are phocids. They are way over there. There we go. Seals, sea lions, and walruses are called pinnipeds. I don't know why it doesn't say pinnipeds, but anyway, yeah. And sea lions, walruses. Oh, odobenids are what walruses are called. There's Odobenus, that is the walrus genus. And then you've got... This is confusing. Why? Why? So this is why we use scientific names and not common names for animals. Eared seals is a dumb name because they're not actually seals. These are sea lions. Eared seals are actually sea lions. Australian sea lions, Galapagos sea lions, and then fur seals, which aren't seals at all. They're sea lions. Gah, that's Otaridae. There we go. Yeah. And then, and then Phocidae are the true seals, as you see right there. So the eared seals aren't seals at all. They're sea lions. Does that make sense? Yeah. And, Sal Weinstein says, I am the walrus. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Big Lebowski. Shut up, Donnie. Anyway, so this is why, as scientists, we don't usually use, like, if we can help it, we don't use the common names like that. True seals, eared seals, sea lions. We use the family names, and we use the genus and species names for these animals, because that is consistent across all languages on Earth. Like, we use the language of science for communicating with one another. If I'm talking to a scientist from Japan, or from Chile, or from Australia, or from Belarus, you know, or from Zimbabwe, no matter what language we speak, we've got that international language of science and the, like, those Latin terms that we use, you know? Where I'm not going to say, oh yes, well, the northern Pacific walrus. No, I'm going to say Odobenus. Odobenus is what all scientists across the world call that creature, regardless of language. Odobenus is the name for the walrus. Or did I spell it wrong? No, I spelled it right. There it is. Odobenus rosmarus. That's the walrus. So it doesn't matter if I'm talking to somebody who's speaking Swahili, or Cantonese, or Swiss French. Odobenus is the name for the walrus. It's international like that, you know? That's the beauty of scientific language, you know? Yeah. Anywho. Yeah. And which are most closely related to canids? They're all equally closely related to canids, Psychanalyst. Yeah. Here. We'll zoom out from there to Canidae. Dogs, wolves, foxes, and more are over here. So there's the canids. That's all on one big branch here. And then you go up here and you get your, well, other carnivorans. There's bears and stuff. And then there's your pinnipeds right there. So all of these critters diverged from dogs at the same time, basically.
For still more protection, he simply grew spears which projected from his body armor.
And thank you, Susie 9mm1. How are you doing? Susie 9mm1. What's shaking? Good to see you. Yeah. And Kappa Vote says, who defines this scientific terms? Kappa Votes, it's done. Well, we publish on them in the scientific literature. Yeah. So like when a new genus or species of dinosaur is named, for instance, we publish a paper on it. And yeah, if it goes through peer review and gets published in a scientific journal, then generally other scientists will start using that term. Unless it's really poorly written or something like that, then other people might kind of ignore it. A lot of this stuff is kind of built on general consensus, where it's like, if the term is useful, if you did good work, it'll be generally accepted. But if you did really sloppy work and you somehow managed to, like, ram it through the publication process, it'll usually get ignored, you know? Yeah. So a lot of this stuff is built on consensus like that. It's kind of a communal effort, I suppose. Does that make sense? Yeah. And I'll see you later, Pfizer. Thanks for being here. Yeah. Yeah, and there you go, Astronomy Show. Sharp ears. That's exactly what the song is. Yeah, and welcome, welcome, Susie. Thanks for that heart. It's good to see you. Welcome. Welcome to Paleontologizing. Great to have you here. Let me know if you've got any questions about dinosaurs in particular, because that's what I publish on. But we're going all over the tree of life right here, talking about all kinds of different critters. So yeah. And Hez Help says, how would you feel if a new peer-confirmed dinosaur was named after you? I would be over the moon, Hez Helps. I would be incredibly happy. That actually just happened to a friend of mine. My old roommate, actually. It happened to him back in November. Yeah. Daspletosaurus wilsoni. There we go. Was named after Jack Wilson. Here, I'm trying to find this. That'll work. Yeah. Newly discovered Tyrannosaurus species fills gap in lineage, leading to Tyrannosaurus rex. Yeah. Come on. Where did the press release go? Because this actually talks about it. Is it in here? Let's see. Yep, there we go. Daspletosaurus wilsoni means Wilson's frightful reptile or frightful lizard, named after John Jack P. Wilson of San Diego, California. It's my old roommate. You know, I used to do field work with Jack. We used to live in the same apartment in Bozeman, Montana. Where did that book go? Hang tight just a second. Here it is. Yeah. This is a book that we put together, our field work from 2015. Here we go. Yeah, when we were working out on the American Prairie Reserve. Back in 2015. Come on, camera, focus. You can do it. And, there we go. There's our crew. There's me. There's Jack Wilson right there. There's my old crew chief, Denver Fowler. So, he's, lead author on this paper right here. Jack Wilson found Daspletosaurus wilsoni, and so it got named after him. So now Jack Wilson's got some degree of immortality there, you know? For as long as there is a field of dinosaur paleontology, and for as long as that species name stays valid, people will be talking about Jack Wilson and how he found that species of Tyrannosaur. Pretty cool stuff, you know? Getting a dinosaur named after you is... That's some degree of immortality. Just super exciting. So yeah. Yeah. And Janavis... I think we have masculine. That was a while ago we talked about Janavis. That, it's related to Ichthyornis, right? Yeah. Anyway. Would it be Anduza or Anduza? It would be Anduza I think, masculine. Anduza I, yeah. Timcat wants to know, is the lungfish cold or warm-blooded? I think lungfish body temperature is dependent on the ambient temperature. So I think they'd be ectothermic or cold-blooded. But there's probably some nuance there. Yeah. Immortality, but then can only one dinosaur? No, sorry, Roach Pope. There's going to be a lot of dinosaurs. That's the thing about dinosaurs, is there were a lot of them that lived, and yeah. Although I suppose there is a finite number that lived, and with each new dinosaur that we discover, the list of possible dinosaurs to discover gets smaller. But that's I don't know. That's a good thing. maybe centuries from now, if we, as human beings, as a species, manage to survive for that long, maybe we'll eventually get to the point where we find most of the dinosaurs that are able to be discovered. They'll start to fill in all of those evolutionary gaps, and yeah, but that day has not arrived yet, and it won't for a long, long time. It's going to take a tremendous amount of work, which is really exciting. There's so much out there still yet to be found. Oh, man, yeah. So, yeah. And diagonal says, I would say enduze, since nouns form the genitive using AE. Oh. I've never thought about it that way, diagonal, but you know what? That makes some sense. Yeah. Anduze. If it were named after multiple Anduzas, it would be Anduzorum. Or Anduzaorum. But named after one Anduza, I guess it might be Anduze. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Pimpcat wants to know, is that overbite common in dinosaurs? I mean, yeah. Theropod dinosaurs in particular, the meat-eating dinosaurs. You know, it's also common in humans, you know? Yeah. That's pretty much a default thing for tetrapod animals. Because the teeth in the premaxilla and the maxilla tend to overlap the teeth of the dentary. Like that. So that's very, very typical. In fact, I'm trying to think if there are any dinosaurs whose maxillary and premaxillary teeth don't overlap their dentary teeth at the bottom. I can't think of any off the top of my head. Yeah. So yeah. But yeah. Not even sauropods? I can't think of any sauropods where their upper teeth go behind their lower teeth. No. Beaky ones either, Trunk. No. And even with beaky dinosaurs, generally the top beak overlaps the bottom beak. When you look at, say, I don't know, yeah. Let's say Triceratops, for instance. Trying to find you a decent Triceratops with its beak closed. There you go. There's a Triceratops from Saurian. The upper beak. It's like the lower beak. Oop. Can't even see that. The lower beak kind of slots into the upper beak from underneath like that. Does that make sense? This is the typical arrangement. This is any departure from this would be unusual for sure. Yeah. These guys do have teeth, by the way, but they're inside their cheeks, inside their jaw like that. Got a big ol' wicked beak on the front, and then their teeth are inside their mouth. Oh, yeah. Has helps. Finding some of my vocal signatures there. Yeah. And Helicoprion, yeah. There you go, masculine. Although even with Helicoprion, their upper jaw would still probably,
Blue is cheap.
Probably still overlap their lower jaw, you know? That weirdo sharky thing from the Permian. Even if they don't have teeth protruding in the upper jaw, their lower jaw is still going to be shorter than their upper jaw. Yeah. There you go, as helps. Machiocasaurus. I think even in Machiocasaurus, the front teeth are probably still further forward than the back teeth, but we could take a look. Would the overbite give them better chewing ability? I mean, it's not... I hesitate to call it an overbite for dinosaurs because an overbite, like, here, look at my teeth. You know, I grit my teeth like that. And the teeth in my premaxilla and maxilla, my upper jaw teeth, are still a little bit forward of my, you know, my teeth in my mandible. You know, an overbite in humans is when, like, the teeth are way forward of that, right? Like, whoa, like that. I feel like that's the natural position is, you know, just a little bit forward like this, right? So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. An overbite is when it's, like, that taken to an extreme, where it, like, causes jaw misalignment and everything, and it causes issues. So, yeah. And people are asking me now about Helicoprion, or Helicoprion, tomato potato. Let's talk about this critter a little bit. I'll see if I can find you a video on this, because I know people are going to be curious. This is an ancient shark relative from long before the dinosaurs. And let's take a look at this.
But where did this...
Here we go.
Can you believe that an animal that looked like this actually existed?
Well, it didn't actually look like that. It's so derpy.
Well, it didn't. But for a while, experts thought that hundreds of millions of years ago, fish that looked like this once swam the seas around the supercontinent of Pangaea. It turns out that paleontology is just tricky sometimes.
Oh, yeah. You're telling me.
Some fossils are easy to identify right from the start. Everyone knows what a trilobite looks like or a theropod track. But just like our old friend the telemonster, there are many fossils that challenge our ability to form even the most basic idea of how a living thing looked or lived or functioned. And one of the longest running of these mysteries involved a 270 million year old sea creature called Helicoprion. It all started with a swirl. Back in 1899, Russian geologist Alexander Karpinsky was studying a strange circular fossil found in the Ural Mountains that dated back to the Permian period. At first he thought it was an ammonite, one of the ancient relatives of today's nautilus. But it turned out the spiral was actually made of teeth. Shark-like teeth. So Karpinsky determined that the fossil belonged to an extinct shark and named it Helicoprion, or spiral saw, because, let's face it, looks like it can cut timber with this thing. But where did this weird feature, known as a tooth whorl, actually go? It was hard to tell because at the time, no other known sharks had teeth like this. So one of the main challenges posed by Helicoprion was its life reconstruction. That is what it looked like when alive based on its fossil. The result of a life reconstruction usually is a drawing or a model, but it's more than paleo art. It requires a lot of study. Of the specimen itself, but also of other fossils from its environment, and even the anatomy of related animals. Together, all this information can be used to rebuild an extinct creature. To reconstruct Helicoprion, step one was figuring out where this tooth whorl belonged.
And let me see if I can find you a really cool illustration, really cool figure put together by Ray Troll, who is intensely interested in Helicoprion. There we go. I love the way that he puts this together, where it's like all up on stage like this. These are a bunch of different interpretations that different authors have put forth as to what might be going on with that tooth whorl. Some of these, that is like a ridiculous pizza cutter type thing. Karpinsky in 1911 thought that it was a spiral coming off of the dorsal fin. John Long in 1995 thought that it was like a curly chin like this, basically. Abrouche in 1953 thought it was a spiral almost like a weird old trunk thing coming off of the nose. Yeah. Alex Broadbent in 2012 thought that it might be like that, like a little spiral thing. Of a ray-like creature, like this. Anyway, lots and lots of different interpretations of what that might be like. This one's almost like a slap bracelet, like that, where it would curl around. That's funny. Yeah, lots and lots of different interpretations for what this thing might have been like. A Tim Burton fish. There you go, Retro Roadshow. Yes, Nightmare Before Fish Myths. Yes, indeed. Right there. It does remind me of that. Yeah. Yeah. That's funny.
And that was a lot harder than it sounds. Some experts thought the wheel of teeth was in the upper jaw. Others put it under the lower jaw. Karpinski's best guess? The snout. He originally imagined that it had a swirl of teeth that curled up over its nose like something out of a Dr. Seuss nightmare. But then he changed his mind, because some extinct sharks were known to have spines and other tooth-like features on their fins. He thought the blade of teeth might have belonged on its back. The true picture of Helicoprion only started to come into focus when more fossils were discovered. Specimens found in Nevada and China, and fossils of related species like Ornithiscian, began to bolster the idea that the tooth whorl was part of the lower jaw. But still, there was no way to show exactly where it fit, or if there were upper teeth to match, or what was going on with this thing. Part of the problem was that shark skeletons are made of cartilage, not bone. So by and large, the only parts of these creatures that fossilize are its teeth. The fossil record left paleontologists without much to work with, until they used a new technology to look at a long-forgotten fossil. One of the best places in the world to find Helicoprion fossils is Idaho.
Idaho, yeah.
Workers at a
I visited some of these sites.
A concretion of rock and found a perfectly preserved Helicoprion whorl. And as a bonus, there even seemed to be some fossilized tissue around it, possibly part of the jaw and the cranium. It was the most complete fossil of its kind, and it was beautiful. A paper was written about it, and then the specimen was kept for 50 years in the Idaho Museum of Natural History, until researchers decided...
And I visited the Idaho Museum of Natural History this past summer. I was hoping to do a live stream from there, and that didn't quite work out, but I've got some photos. My equipment wasn't working properly, or I would have done a live stream from there. Let's see, this would have been June of 2022. There we go. There is a cast of the Helicoprion whorl there. You just saw a photo of it. And there's me. Triple Helix, thank you so much for the raid. How are you doing? Welcome, Triple Helix, to Paleontologizing. So good to see you here again. How did your stream go? We were playing some Warhammer 40,000 Dark Tide. Well, I wish you glad tidings, and I thank you for the raid, Triple Helix. Welcome to Paleontologizing. Good to have you here. Yeah. And thank you for the additional raid. I'm not sure what happened there. But hello, Triple Helix. Yeah. So yeah. First raid did work. Yes. Anyway, Helicoprion. This is what we now think it probably looked like. But this is at the Idaho Museum of Natural History in Pocatello, Idaho, where I think the majority of these specimens are housed today. And this is a lovely reconstruction of what the animal would look like by Ray Troll, and that's some potential prey for this animal trying to get away. Uh-oh. Buzzsaw is coming after you, Ammonite. You get out of there. Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
To take it out again and give it another closer look using new technology. In 2013, museum researchers conducted a CT scan of the specimen, basically a really high-resolution X-ray, and this allowed them to finally reconstruct this strange fish. The scan revealed impressions of cartilage that formed both the upper and lower jaw, and it turned out that the lower jaw consisted of that saw blade of teeth. The whorl stood vertically in the mouth, like where your tongue is, supported on both sides by cartilage, and there were no upper teeth at all or any other equipment to chew with. So how did Helicoprion eat? Well, I could tell you, but I'd need a time machine and some scuba gear. In other words, no one knows for sure. But some experts think it used its wheel of teeth to slice through its prey. Or it could have used them to grip hard-bodied creatures like ammonites and basically shuck them out of their shells. Oh, and one more
and it doesn't seem like that rotated. It's not a buzzsaw. It's not going inside the jaw or anything. It's not doing that. It's like, it's fixed in there, but since it's fixed in there, you know, it can open and close its mouth and then basically use it to just go like, and probably cut stuff into, it's probably cutting open critters like nautiloids and stuff, I would guess, you know? You know, especially like longer nautiloids like that. it's easy to imagine it grabbing one of these animals, a nautiloid, like that, by that long cylindrical shell and just severing it. And then eating all the soft parts. You know, kind of like a nutcracker, SB Harkin. Yeah, sure. Sure. Yeah. It's cool stuff. It really is. Like, what a weird, neat animal.
Its prey. Or it could have used them to grip hard-bodied creatures like ammonites and basically shuck them out of their shells. Oh, and one more thing. Based on the structure of the upper jaw, the researchers found out that Helicoprion wasn't a shark at all. It was a ratfish. These are distant cartilaginous cousins of sharks that live in the deep sea today. None of them have crazy saw blades in their mouths, but they're the closest living relatives of this ancient predator. So it took more than a century and specimens from 3 continents to finally piece together the fossil puzzle that is Helicoprion. Like I said, paleontology can be tricky, but to know that a creature like this actually existed, totally worth it.
Pretty cool stuff. Well, let's look up ratfish on the Tree of Life. I believe they're also called holocephalians, or chimeras sometimes. So we're going to jump from here in Mammalia, where we were, by the walruses and the seals and the sea lions, to... holocephaly, chimeras. They are way over here. Yeah, chimeras, also known as ratfish. Yeah. So most of these critters live in the very deep sea today. And a lot of you in chat are probably not familiar with these animals. But if you ever watch a lot of footage from, like, deep sea submersibles and stuff like that, you will encounter these creatures. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Like these. No, that's a kingfisher. There we go. The ghost shark. Not actually a shark. They're chimeras. They're holocephalians.
There is a revenant that haunts the deep sea. An elusive creature, one that has existed on this planet for millions of years.
Very
The
cool.
chimera, or ghost shark, is a cartilaginous fish that is related to sharks and rays. However, they exhibit a morphology unlike any other creature.
Really cool.
With seemingly only one gill on either side of their body, upper jaws fused to their skull, no scales, and eyes that are backed with a reflective tissue layer that makes them seem to glow in the dark, the chimera have an eerie and ghost-like appearance.
Really cool critters. They're very, very neat. And if you want to watch this whole video, there is a link right there. Yeah. And yeah, Masculine, you're right. They're not close to goblin sharks, but they do have that same kind of, like, eerie, very deep sea kind of thing going on about them. Along with, like, sleeper sharks. And Greenland sharks, too. Yeah. Really cool. Orchid Twilight says regarding, yes. Regarding, Helicoprion, sounds like a kitchen tool. It slices, it dices. Batteries not included. Axe now, and we'll also throw in a second one for half price. So yeah, it does form new teeth at the back of the whorl, and the whorl actually, like, rotates forward very slowly as it replaces those teeth, which is really interesting. So, like, as the animal grows, the whorl gets bigger and bigger, which is really neat. You'll see a lot of this art is by the same artist, by Ray Troll. So he actually put together that model, as I recall. And, yeah, this illustration. Really, Ray Troll is the Helicoprion guy. What a beautiful piece of art there. It's really nice. Oh, yeah. I think there's even a video about... let's see if I can find that here. There's a whole... Yeah, there we go. There's a whole documentary. There we go. Come on now. There's Ray Troll.
Still can't feel my lips. How many people bring shark jaws to the dentist? We're embarking on a great journey. I've dreamt of this for years. Finally, the day has come. What is the day? January... what is it? We're going to Idaho. Chase sharks. A mysterious shark. A shark that has almost driven me mad.
Shark that will turn out not to actually be a shark. If you want to watch this whole thing, they kind of unravel the mystery of Helicoprion in this video. This is really cool stuff, and they end up actually making like an artificial material model of the critter and then testing it. Yeah. Very cool stuff. So, yeah. Here's a link in chat for you. Yeah. Very neat stuff. I've actually met Ray Troll a couple of times before. He's a cool guy. Yeah. You've never heard of nor seen these before? Petrodactylus helicoprion. It's such a neat animal. Very, very cool. I'm so glad to have introduced it to you. Oh, that makes my heart happy. Yeah. Holy cow. And, you know, with that being said, I think I'm going to wrap up today's stream a little bit early. But don't you go away just yet, chat. We are going to go raid into another channel, hopefully doing some science. There's a saber-toothed cat to run our credits over real quick. Don't you go away. Also, huge thanks to everybody whose names show up in the credits right there. Now, we had a pretty light day in terms of support, but I still appreciate those of you who resubscribed or gifted subs. And, yeah. Who else is live right now? Speaking of aquatic critters, we're gonna go right into the Monterey Bay Aquarium, one of my favorite aquaria in the entire world. And we are gonna see some very cool aquatic critters. Yeah. Monterey AQ. And it is a follower or subscriber only chat, so be aware of that. If you want to chat, you'll have to follow or subscribe. Or both, if you want to. But cool, I see a 6-gill or 7-gill shark right there, a leopard shark, various species of rockfish, some, what are those? Some sea bass, some anemones. This is going to be cool. You're in for a treat, everybody. Anyway, thank you, everybody, for another really fun stream. And we'll be streaming again tomorrow for Thursday Birds Day here on Paleontologizing. So join me around 1 or 2 p.m. California time. We'll see. Might start late because we're going to get a lot of rain. Hopefully my power doesn't go out. But till then, everybody, you take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And don't just be nice. Be kind. Be good to yourself and to others. I hope to see you again soon. Tomorrow, hopefully. Take care, everybody. And, bye-bye.